Well, good afternoon, everyone, for the friends in China, and good morning for those who are in Europe. We are going to begin now because you are all very busy, and it's going to be a long afternoon. I would not use long. I would say a very rich afternoon. So some people are talking about decoupling, disconnecting. Actually, what we are doing is connecting people, connecting friends for us, all of us, to co-create value. This is the beginning of Xiamen-Europe Business Connect. I would like to thank clearly Bernard DeWitt and the Belgium China Chamber of Commerce, because without Bernard DeWitt and his wonderful colleagues, we would not be here together. So thank you very much, Bernard, and we will give you the floor very, very rapidly indeed. I would like also to thank Professor William Wang. It's very important to have a school like IM Lyon supporting what we do, and I know, Professor, that you will chair the first session of our Xiamen-Europe Business Connect. I would like to thank also all the friends from China, Xiamen, and Europe joining us today. But I would like also to say thank you to the friends and colleagues from the Torch Industrial Park in Xiamen, because they have been so helpful in organizing this event. And I know that beyond the Torch Industrial Park in Xiamen, many friends in various departments in Xiamen have been kind enough to support our initiative. So now I would like our colleague, Ms. Lin Keya, to play a video because she wanted to be with us today. Irina Bokova, the former Director General of the UNESCO, but she had to change her schedule, but she was kind enough to record a video, and we will play first the video, and I would like to welcome Minister He Yafei. It's a great honor to have you with us, Minister, and also I see that Federica is joining from Italy. So before I give the floor to Minister He Yafei, I will ask Ms. Lin to play the beautiful video of Madame Irina Bokova, a woman of peace and shared prosperity.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to participate in this important Xiamen-Europe Business Connect conference. I sincerely believe it is very befitting to organize such an event in Xiamen. And I remember vividly that during my last visit to China, in my capacity as UNESCO Director General in September 2017, I attended the BRICS conference in this beautiful Xiamen. And there were two memorable moments: the ceremony of the China UNESCO Prize for Girls and Women's Education at the University of Xiamen, together with the First Lady, Professor Li Wangpeng, a UNESCO Special Envoy for Girls and Women's Education, and the second, the enormous pleasure that I had to officially present the certificate of inscription of Kulangzhou, a historic international settlement, as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This tiny island on a Chulong River, facing the city and the historic port of Xiamen, became an important window for international exchanges. Kulangzhou is an exceptional example of the cultural wealth that emerged from the exchanges between China, Southeast Asia, and Europe, and which remain legible in its urban fabric. The most exceptional testimony of the fusion of various stylistic influences may be the invention of the Art Deco style, a new architectural movement, which is a synthesis of the modernist style of the 20th century and Art Deco. I see this also as a continuation of the long-standing tradition of the Silk Roads, bringing people and cultures together, very much in line with the Belt and Road Initiative promoted by President Xi Jinping. And to some extent, Guangzhou's history embodies the same message of your conference today, to foster the exchange and the connection, to mention its topic, between China and Europe. You will be discussing issues of technology, investment, trade, and services. And I'm happy you have also on the agenda items on culture and lifestyles, and rightfully so. Europe and China are two cultural powerhouses where creative sectors are drivers of sustained and inclusive economic growth, fostering innovation and providing wide opportunities for jobs and social inclusion. This is the purpose of the decision of the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly 2 years ago to declare 2021 International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development. Just a recent UNCTAD report on the creative economy shows that China's trade in creative goods and services is outstripping those of other countries, making it the driving force behind a prosperous global creative economy over the last 15 years. China's contribution to this global creative economy is both important and has driven more than a decade's worth of growth in industries and services. Between 2002 and 2015, it has an annual rate of 14%. And during this same period, China was the biggest single exporter and importer of creative goods and services, the reports stated. Both China and Europe emphasize the importance of the development of their creative cultural sectors. China will develop the digital creative industry with culture-led advanced technology and a complete chain, and industry output value will reach 8 trillion yuan by 2030, according to the guideline on strategic emerging sectors in the 13th five-year plan period. European Union, on its side, is looking at the way to foster sustainable growth and development through innovation and creativity, and the European Green Deal. All these are important global developments that encourages more cooperation and not less between China and Europe. I hope your conference will contribute to this important responsibility. Thank you for your attention.
Well, of course, it's always a great honor to listen to Madame Irina Bokova, and I can tell to the friends from Xiamen that she's in love with Xiamen, and she's looking forward to being back to Xiamen as soon as possible. But with us today, it's a great honor to have Minister He Yafei with such an important bridge between China and the world, China and the US, of course, but also China and Europe. So I would like, on behalf of all of us, Minister, on behalf of the friends in Belgium, the friends in Xiamen, the friends across China, and those coming from Switzerland, Spain, Italy, and France, to thank you for your strong support. And it's a great honor for me to give you the floor, Minister He Yafei.
Thank you, David. It is really a great honor and a pleasure to speak to such a distinguished group. Very happy to be part of it. I'll be talking a little bit about China and the emerging new world order. With 100 trillion yuan GDP and 10,000 US dollar per capita GDP for 2020, China has entered a new period of development with emphasis on economic due circulation and continued opening up to the outside world. The world today has undergone tremendous changes and is going through a transition in global order and reshaping of global governance. The emerging new world has been characterized by a non-stop shift in balance of power in favor of developing nations represented by China. An unprecedented explosion of a mixture of traditional security threats, such as war and geopolitical conflicts, with non-traditional security threats like pandemics, cybersecurity, climate change, and food crisis. Lastly, a fast-paced revolution of technology advances, upending ways of life and mode of production, with accompanying rearrangements in global supply chain. The interface and interaction between a new China and a new world has impacted the emerging world order in multifaceted ways. First, I believe it is conducive to the promotion of multilateralism in addressing various global challenges now countries face, and also a challenge to the continuation of globalization to zero, despite of growing populism, identity politics, narrow-minded nationalism, and unilateralism that are pummeling and fragmenting the existing world order to the dismay of many countries. Secondly, what China has been interacting with the world is helpful in reducing geopolitical tension between major powers by China's espousing a new path for peaceful and orderly competition and the cooperation for the concerned powers, so as to avoid likely military confrontation and the conflicts that could lead to cold and hot wars. For instance, China and the US are starting a dialogue today in Anchorage. Third, with China's own success in reducing and eliminating poverty at home, it's highly useful to highlight the extreme importance of greater global efforts in poverty reduction, as expressed in both the MDGs, which are completed, and the unfolding of SDGs of 2030, meaning the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Because in the final analysis, it is the growing inequality arising from the widening gap between rich and poor that has created and continues to create social division and unrest in many countries, US in particular. Fourth, with increasing investments in R&D of new technologies and their applications, as the fourth industrial revolution going hot as ever, China's efforts with the world is contributing to narrowing and eventually bridging the economic, digital, technological gaps between advanced and developing economies. In that, China is helping the emergence of a more equitable and just world order. And I believe that the new role for China to play in the reshaping of global governance, to move it in the direction of a more just and more equitable fashion, should be welcomed by the rest of the world. I can see that China's cooperation with European countries in particular are setting an example for an orderly and cooperative relationship between a major developing country like China and more advanced economies like major European countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister He Yafei, for your very profound remarks. As always, a synthesis of the world as it is today. You mentioned the important meeting which is going to take place in Anchorage between the American side and the Chinese side today. This is important, and all your points put actually our conversation today into a larger perspective. But as you said, especially when we think, for example, about multilateralism, there is great convergence between what Europe is thinking and what China is thinking and doing. So it is for me a great pleasure now to introduce and to give the floor to Bernard David, who has been doing so much to deepen the relations between Europe, the European Union, Belgium, of course, at the heart of the European Union, and China. We know that the EU and China signed a very important agreement on investment. So maybe Bernard is going to share with us his ideas about that. But thanks again, Minister He Yafei, for supporting our Xiamen-Europe Business Connect. And we believe that by doing more of these events, we can also have a positive contribution to peace and shared prosperity. So I would like now to give the floor to Bernard David in Brussels. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you very much, David. And I would like to say that you deserve full respect of us for all the efforts you are bringing for being a bridge between China and Europe. And I think at these times when nationalism, protectionism for certain are heard, a voice like yours is very important. A voice for dialogue, for respect to each other. So, David, it's an honor for us, for our chamber, to be part of the organizers today. Let me say just a few words about our Belgian-Chinese Chamber of Commerce. We are regrouping most of the Belgian companies doing business with China, and we are also regrouping Chinese companies doing business in Belgium. We are located at the heart of Europe. That means that we are following very closely the events here in Europe. We are closely monitoring the policy of EU and especially towards China. You mentioned it, David. The 30th of December 2020 was an important date. It was an important date in the EU-China relations because it was the day of the signature of the China-EU Investment Treaty. This signature is the result of long negotiations, is the result of big efforts made by the Chinese part, by the European part, to reach a compromise. When you reach a compromise, you will always hear voices saying, well, you went too far, you did not get this, you did not get that. But what is important is that they reached a compromise on a text, that this text will be of importance in the business relationship with China. And China for Europe is important. China for Europe is important. We are the first trading partner of China. We know that China is the leading economy in the world. We know that the growth in China this year will be around 8% at a time when many countries are fighting to have a zero growth instead of negative growth. So it is important for us to be in touch with China, to do business with China. It is important for the well-being of our population in Europe and for the well-being of the population in China. This agreement, as I mentioned, is important, and for it presents, and I will say a few words about that, many advantages for European business doing business with China, as indeed it has these positive implications is to open up even more the Chinese market to European investors. And there I'm very happy to be in Xiamen, to be in Fujian, virtually of course, unfortunately, but Fujian province, which has a long history of centuries of opening up to the outside world, the Xiamen being an important part in the province for this policy. Therefore, symbolically, it's very unique and important to be speaking of Europe here in Xiamen. Opening up of the market access for European investors. We will also see that the level playing field and fair competition conditions in the Chinese market are well described. There will be also chapters on sustainable development, because it's of most importance for Europe and for China. There are implications for instance, financial services. Financial services now, European companies active in these fields will be more welcome in China. On the health service sector, you will have also the possibility for instance, private hospitals funded by European companies to open in many cities in China. For the telecom and cloud services, European companies will have access to the Chinese market. On biotechnology, and Minister He, in his very interesting speech, mentioned the fourth revolution in high-tech, biotech, artificial intelligence, robotics. Well, European companies now can join hands with Chinese companies and can be also active here in China. So there are many positive aspects, and we are really here in Europe, the business circles are happy about such text and are, I would say, grateful to the negotiators of both sides to have been able to reach a compromise. David, I will stop here because there are many other speakers that we are wanting to listen to. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to give this speech, and I give you the floor back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bernard, and also thank you to your colleagues because they have been doing a wonderful job. Yeah, I agree with you. This EU-China agreement on investment is historical. And of course, for the colleagues present here, I would say also that the RCEP is of great significance. And these two agreements have been reached in a very special moment. So I think this is very meaningful. Bernard will be with us when he's going to chair the second panel of the day, and of course to conclude our event. I would like also to thank in advance our three moderators, Professor William Wang from IN Lyon and Ms. Federica Marchioni. It's really wonderful to see Federica here from Italy. She's such an important bridge, not only between China and Europe, but I would say China, Europe, and the US. So it's a great honor to have Federica with us. But now it is time for me to give the floor to Madame Cui Kuo-yu. And before I give you the floor, Madame, I would like to thank you to be such a representative Minister He spoke about a new China, the articulation about a new China and a new world. To a certain extent, we are at this intersection between a new China and a new world. But you are certainly, Madame, a wonderful ambassador of a new Xiamen. So the floor is yours. And on behalf of all the friends here, we would like to thank you for your time, your trust, and your active support. The floor is yours, Madam.
谢谢主持人高大伟教授对我的介绍。尊敬的何亚飞副部长、德维特主席、各位企业家、参会的各位女士先生，大家好。很高兴代表厦门火炬高新区参加厦门欧洲商务面对面，这是一个了不起的创意。1年前，新冠疫情相继在中国和欧洲爆发后，因为向欧洲，特别是向法国和比利时捐赠了医用的物资，我们有幸和高大伟教授与德维特先生的团队相识，从云中守望到云中对话，合作不断加强，我们的友谊不断加深。我也期待着大家取下口罩，自由往来，线下面对面对接商务，畅叙友情的那一天早日到来。此刻，我首先感谢中欧论坛和比利时中国经贸委员会精心组织本次会议，感谢高大伟教授及其团队及时、专业而周密的搭桥工作，使得今天云中见面高朋满座。德维特先生自80年代起就在中比和中欧之间穿梭，助力中国改革开放和中欧合作。听说您1987年就访问过厦门，我们期待您早日实现第2次访问。何亚飞先生是中国在外交和侨务领域知名的领导者和专家，我们期待您为厦门的国际化和金砖国家新工业革命伙伴关系创新基地建设贡献更多的智慧和经验。我要特别感谢博克瓦女士，厦门和火炬高新区要在科技创新、教育赋能和国际双向交流等方面有突破性进步。她刚才在视频中提及的视角和建议很有指导意义。我热情地邀请博克瓦女士在疫后能够再次亲临厦门，到我服务的园区分享经验。今年我所在的火炬高新区是一个历史性的年份，5月我们将庆祝火炬高新区成立30周年，今年也是厦门经济特区成立40周年。经过30年的发展，厦门火炬高新区已经成为厦门市先进制造业、软件信息产业的主要集聚期和对外开放的重要平台。我们园区的企业数已经突破了1万家，其中世界500强超30家。 国家级的高新技术企业超过了1000家，综合实力在全国近170家的国家级高新区排名中位列第16位。30年来，欧洲的很多公司，例如 ABB、施耐德、林德、SAP、Echo、陶朗、Resound、百威英博等企业，为我们高新区和厦门市的经济发展做出了巨大的贡献。在此，我要对他们致以特别的谢意。今天讨论聚焦科技与智慧城市、交通运输与金融业以及文化和生活3个主题，非常契合厦门和火炬高新区在未来发展的方向，也符合中欧伙伴关系建设的现实需求。中欧已经建立数字经济伙伴关系，中欧在“一带一路”和欧盟的亚欧互联互通框架下展开了务实的合作。作为世界2大文明体，中欧在人文交流的空间无限广阔，而厦门也一直致力于在这几个方面推动它与世界的密切联系。就数字经济而言，早在上世纪80年代，习近平总书记担任厦门常务副市长期间，就已经成立了经济信息管理领导小组，在全国率先播下了智慧城市的种子。厦门拥有全国最高等级的国际性综合交通枢纽，是全国4大重点建设的国际航运中心之一。厦门基本形成了功能完备、运行稳健的多元化金融服务体系，正在建设区域性国际金融中心。谈到文化和生活，作为一个海滨城市，厦门素有“海上花园”、“诗意厦门”的美誉。我曾经因公访问过法国的戛纳和尼斯，这2个美丽的海边城市，我觉得厦门的温馨和美丽与他们相得益彰。百闻不如一见，在此我再次诚挚地邀请各位到访厦门，也希望中欧2国企业可以抓住中欧全面投资协定顺利完成谈判的历史机遇，深化合作，共创中欧合作的美好未来。接下来，让我们倾听各个主题的发言嘉宾从他们所深耕的领域出发，分享他们的真知灼见。谢谢大家，谢谢主持人。
非常感谢穗女士您的精彩的讲话对我们的印象很深刻。然后我相信，因为基本上你也邀请德维特先生和亚非部长跟波国万女士去厦门，我相信他们会接受您的邀请，因为厦门的吸引力真的是让人家很惊讶。非常感谢穗女士。So now it's the end of this short opening ceremony. We are almost on time, and I will give the floor to the moderators and the wonderful speakers we have. You remember the structure of the afternoon. One session on technology for smart city. Ms. Sui spoke about 智慧厦门, smart Xiamen. We will have a conversation around finance, services, and transportation that Bernard David will moderate. And we will end with an extremely rich panel that Ms. Federica Marchioni will chair on culture and lifestyle. And I know that it matters a lot. And I want to tell you that, as you have heard in Madame Bokova's speech, I think we all believe that this is also a very important part of the future of Xiamen, Fujian, China, and actually the world. So thank you very much 感谢大家 and now I give the floor to Professor William Wang from EM Lyon, himself being the most outstanding bridge between France and China, Europe and China. Thank you very much, Professor, to you and your team for your support.
Thank you, David, and for offering this great opportunity. And I'm Professor William Wang from EM Lyon Business School. So most of our guests are Chinese. I would like to quickly switch into Chinese since we have the simultaneous translation. 各位大家好，我是王华，来自于法国里昂商学院。那再次感谢高大伟教授提供了这样一次机会，让里昂商学院来共同参与今天举办这一次欧洲商务面对面的这个活动。我们马上进入到第一个环节，就是第一个讨论的是科技与智慧城市。我们可以看到，科技如何来推动未来经济的这个发展。今天的6位嘉宾，尤其他们是注重于这个新科技领域当中的能源相关的板块当然与此同时的话呢，我们也有一位嘉宾是更多的是从智慧城市的角度来跟各位做分享，而且这位嘉宾也是我们里昂商学院的 EMBA 的在读的学生。那么在这样的新能源科技的板块，我们也可以看到有来自于中国、比利时、法国、瑞士等等多元的国家和地区，从氢能源，从生物质转化的再生能源，从锂电池的这个相关的这个技术，以及输电、配电等等各个方面来共同的来探讨所以内容是相当的丰富所以我们在这里的话呢，首先请出第一位我们的嘉宾是刘吉欧女士。那么刘吉欧女士所在的这个泽安投资公司的话呢，是注重于智能制造科技投资的一个中国人民币的基金。我们想从投资方的角度来看一下这个相关领域的一些视角我们有请刘女士。
非常感谢王教授，也谢谢高大伟教授邀请我参与这样一个非常有意义的中欧之间的一个对话。我非常简单的介绍一下我们这个基金的这个情况。泽安呢是一家成立于上海的人民币基金，我们的合伙人呢都是国内的大型的工业集团公司，他们投资我们作为我们基金的合伙人，一起来投资中国的智能制造这个领域。我们不但投资这些部件，也投资设备、成套设备，也投资这个方案设计，也投资这个和集成公司。那么就像我们最近国家“14-5”计划正在展现的新基建数字化、自动化、智能化，在我们这个工业领域里面将会得到非常大的发展和投资机会。所以呢，我们非常有信心在这个领域里面能够一展身手。那么我们这个基金呢做2件事情。第一呢，对内就像我们刚才提到的，就是说我们和这些我们的合伙人投资方这个工业集团们进一步寻找正在起步的、正在展现出来的这些在部件在设备在实施这些方面智能制造领域的这个企业。另外呢，我们也对外就outbound的这一块呢，我们也希望能够寻找到合适的国外的合作，甚至于就是并购的这个对象，一起来开拓中国的这个市场。因为我们觉得呢，中国的市场呢是有2个方面的这个优势。第一呢，我们有非常深厚的和广阔的这个市场的这个范畴。第二呢，中国的这个工程师们也是一个很强大的一个每年有10几万的这个新的工程师的这个诞生，从大学里毕业、研究生毕业。另外呢，他们在各个行业领域里面，我们有非常全的产业链的这个基础。那么再加上就是国家对这个领域的支持， 所以呢，我们也希望非常有机会能够和境外的有兴趣和我们合作的一起来在国内开拓市场。我想先介绍这一些，如果大家有兴趣进一步了解我们的做的事情和我们的一些项目的情况，我们可以继续沟通。谢谢。
好，感谢刘女士啊，您对这个时间实际上还是有足够的时间。我相信可能我们不同的这个公司介绍完之后的话，你们可能会做更多的补充，是说啊，我们从投资者的这个角度，如果说听了上述的这些公司，中国的、外国的之后啊，我们有一些怎么样的看法啊等等。好，非常感谢，我们也期待在第二轮的话，您有更多可以来互动的这个板块。那么按照日程的话呢，我们可以接下来邀请的是杜倩文女士。那您所在的是瑞士的一家公司 Aquis 啊，也是从事于这个叫 disruptive 颠覆性的氢能和相关的这些项目啊。那么我们所以接下来的话有请您来跟我们做更多的这个分享，而且你们的商业模式也有独特之处啊，这是一个 research and business 相关联、相结合的这样一个商业的模式。这个在中国似乎还听到的并不是太多啊，所以我们哪怕是从商学院的角度也非常好奇，这样的一种模式是如何来创造价值的。好，我们有请 Wendy。
首先，大家好。首先，非常感谢高大伟主席对于我们的一个邀请，也非常感谢王教授的一个介绍。如大家所知，其实智慧城市的出现，其实它是一个科技高速发展的一个结果，也是环境与气候污染加剧的今天，从根本上改善城市居民生活方式和生活质量的有效途径。那么，信息技术和数字化其实它并非是智慧城市的全部，绿色的、与环境相适应、可持续的实践和发展更加是一个城市智慧的体现。那么智慧城市作为一个绿色、低碳、智能的城市理念呢，现在也正在被越来越多的城市管理者所推崇。他们中很多人认为智慧城市是一个以科技为主导的建设模式，但是究其本质，其实是为人们寻找和建立一个生态环境、文化经济和社会可持续发展的和谐的空间。所以我在这里呢，就是想从这种创新的无碳技术给智慧城市的建设所带来的改变和积极影响来做一个分享。那首先，城市的交通呢，它是深刻的影响着一个城市智能可持续发展的。如何规划智慧城市，提供有效合理的城市交通解决方案，是全世界目前面临的一个比较紧迫的问题。而中国的新型城市化的脚步一直呢在向前迈进，更加广泛的人员流动和商品运输模式正处在变革之中。道路的拥挤以及停车难让城市交通的压力越来越大，同时汽车保有量持续增高，导致二氧化碳排放和 PM2.5 浓度的不断增加，使这个环保的问题日益严峻。而在城市出行多样性发展的今天，电动化趋势、能源结构的转型和市民出行需求的变化，都在趋向一个更环保、更具经济性、更安全和更高效的交通模式，因而衍生出的智慧出行，正是这样一种全新的革命性的交通模式。绿色、低碳、安全、高效，无疑是智能时代交通发展的全新跑道。而由 Aquis 公司所创立的 Storage 零碳出行解决方案呢，是将绿色的氢气以极低压的方式安全地储存在即插即用的环保储氢罐当中。用户可以通过无处不在的自动贩售机网络所获取需要的绿色能源，只需要几秒钟，一插一钮，随充随走，既保障了这样子的储氢罐，既保障了安全，又打破了传统意义上的里程限制。低基建、低消耗、数字化的创新型消费模式以及使用模式，与我们李克强总理在全国能源委员会上所强调的探索先进储能、氢能等商业化路径，依托互联网发展新能源产业、新业态、新模式的战略高度契合。 我们知道，作为新能源中的首选，有着终极能源之称的绿色氢气，一直以来在我国乃至全世界向可再生能源转型的过程中，发挥着跨部门、跨时空、跨地域的作用。在2019年，氢能首次被写入了政府工作报告，相继有13个省市争先出台了氢能城市发展规划。而去年11月，中央政府在“十四五”规划和2035年远景规划目标中强调了，在建设智慧能源系统的同时，强化绿色发展的法律和政策保障，推动清洁能源低碳、安全、高效的利用。由发改委和多家部委领导的中国氢能产业联盟所发布的氢能白皮书，预计到2050年，氢能将终端能源结构中占比10%，其经济产值也将会达到12万亿人民币。由此可见，发展氢能源技术和应用已然成为优化城市出行领域的重要途径。以氢动力为基础的 Storage 也因此吸引了中国多个城市的大力关注和强烈兴趣，并且我们就 Storage 创新出行方案的具体情况正在与多个城市进行深入的对接交流。为了响应习主席在前不久世界经济论坛所发表的中国力争于2060年前实现碳中和的倡导，全国各大城市也正在积极研发拓展氢能在各领域的应用，力图实现氢能对于推动绿色低碳可持续社会的巨大价值，比如减少人类污染足迹，节省我们在健康方面所承担的社会成本，缓解中国对石油进口度的一个依赖，增进国家能源安全稳定，推动周边产业的发展，创造就业，减少碳排放等。同时，习总书记还强调，在建设现代综合交通运输体系中，要提高综合交通网络效率，调整运输结构，降低物流成本。所以 Storage 凭借其灵活的出行、流畅、安全的情景能源使用模式，以及对环境的最大尊重，为中国带来了真正赋能交通领域的创新科技。我们期待与中国的智慧城市携手，在严格保护生态环境的前提下，全面提高资源的利用效率，加快推动低碳发展，努力建设人与自然的和谐共生的发展新局面。同时，我也有一个消息想要跟大家分享，就是我们在去年呢，在欧洲募集了1000万的这个1000万欧的这个资金来推动这个全球化的一个部署。而今年呢，我们启动了第2轮的一个 B 轮融资，目标金额仍然是1000万欧。这一次，我们希望能够有中国的投资者加入，跟我们一起推动包括在中国在内的 Storage 的一个全球化的部署的步伐。好，这是我的分享，非常感谢各位，谢谢。
非常感谢啊，这个温迪时间控制的非常好，我刚才是用了这个计时啊，那个是完美计时。确实，正如你所说啊，那个在全球地缘政治的这么一个格局下，这个碳达峰、碳中和，这个是美国、欧洲和中国应该来讲是全球达成一个共识的一个大方向。那么在这样的这个大方向的这个情况下呢，正如您所说，那个氢能源中国的本身的发展战略来讲，也已经把它纳入到一个非常重要的地位。当然，正如我们在10几年前开始的电动这个储电、锂电、储电和电动汽车的发展一样，那么随着未来的氢能的储能和以这个汽车为驱动这么一个整个的生态链的打造，这个是需要大量的技术整体的设计标准的建立等等等等。那我们也可以看到相关的调查研究说，2050的话，有可能在中国要有500万辆的这个车是属于氢能的车，所以我们可以看到这是个相当巨大的产业，未来也有相当多的这个商业的机会所以呢，也是感谢您的这个分享刚才也抛出了一个绣球，我们可以看看投资方是怎么来看这样的问题。好，那么我们有请第3位演讲的这个嘉宾是刘立先生 那么你们所在的这个公司呢，总部是在比利时，而且是一家家族的企业，同时分布到这个全球多个这个国家啊，你们也是为客户来做这个定制的能源工厂，做清洁能源领域，所以我们也想听一下你们所在的这个公司的相关的一些技术特点，以及在中国以及其他地区的一些目前的一些发展状况。好，我们也请
好的，谢谢。好的，
何总。
大家好，非常感谢有这么一个被邀请的参与这一个介绍，我叫刘丽，是来自于一家比利时公司的，这家公司是从事生物质能源，它跟那刚刚那位女士介绍氢能，它是从事生物质能源。这家公司的主题我都是介绍的话，就是主要是介绍于生物质能源服务于工业及城市供热的一个相关的一个话题。大概我都介绍个从3个方面进行一个介绍。第一个是我想介绍一下温克公司，这家公司呢，它是比利时的公司，它是个家族企业，是位于一个工业镇吧，它是个工业镇，对它一个城市会做个相关介绍。第二的话，也会介绍一下这家公司在中国目前在市场上或者在中国的发展的一些业绩情况。第3个呢，我也介绍一下这生物质能源在工业城市的区域供热的一些应用，着重于是一些案例的形式。首先是公司的介绍，公司是成立于1912年，将近100多年，已经100多年的一个企业了。这个企业到今天是已经第4代。它从起步的时候，它就是已经是从生物质能源开始的这么一家公司。它在全球大概全世界分布大概有8个区域，当然包括包括东南亚，包括欧洲，包括南美洲，它就分8个区域。但最大的一个公司机构呢，还是在比利时总部，其次呢是在东欧的捷克共和国，然后就是在我们中国的苏州。这家公司它不是个很大的公司，它是以技术为驱导的公司。这家公司在它的总的年营业额大概就是1个亿欧元左右，其中的业务分布来看，50%以上的话是在欧洲以外的一个区域里面，其中在欧洲大概占到45%左右，其他的一些非洲的地方相对比较少，因为它从事是生物质能源，所以说它跟植被所在地比较多。从生物质能源这个角度来说的话，它是我们的作为这家公司的技术呢，它是一个直男的技术，因为生物质能源有很多种，它笼统来说，生物质能源它可以分成很多种技术，也可以通过气化啊，或者一种发酵、沼气啊，都属于生物质。那这温克这家公司呢，它是从事是生物质直男系统。直男系统呢，它把生物质料的话，大概是2种类型，一个是自然状态的，也就是我们看森林啊、森林工业上的树皮啊、枝桠材啊，或者是像一些大的城市的一些园林的一些剪枝啊，这些的农的废弃物，就是另外一种是以农作物为原料的一种农业工程或者叫食品加工行业，这一块里面的它的生产的一些叫做副产品吧，我们把它转换成能源反馈给它的生产需要。这样的话，当然这种的操作，也就是说我们更符合那种叫做低碳经济或者说绿色经济的一种循环经济的一种模式，主要是把这些生物质中的它的废弃物作为它的主要一种燃料形式，把它转换成我们生活工作或者生产所需要的能源系统。大概它有能源系统，我们目前 进行的话，大家知道的话就是生活热水。生活热水一般在大型的冬季，像一些北方城市的话，在中国很典型的，它是采暖的系统会用比较多一些。当然工业也有部分。第二部分是把这种生物质废弃物的话，你可以转换成蒸汽系统。蒸汽系统当然可以直接供热，但也可以发电。第三个，它是一些特定的工艺，它会转成另外一种热媒介，叫导热油系统，也可以通过燃烧以后产生的那个烟气，直接作为一种干燥的一种热媒介，用于但最后的话，它也可以作为一种热电联厂的发电。所以说它的
由于时间的关系，我建议您可以再跟我们分享一下，除了这个技术角度之外，这个就您在中国的这个业务的这个发展看到
后面会有具体的介绍。
好的，因为您的时间还有1分多钟的时间。
行了，我就快点啊。
OK，
不好意思啊。那我第二就说温科在中国的一些业绩，就刚刚那个王教授说到这一块，这样温科公司在进入中国时间是比较早的。这家公司在1995年，它的产品首先进入中国市场，但是通过欧洲的其他一些合作伙伴进入中国市场。然后到2001年，这家公司设立它自己的一个销售代表处，这个只是一个办公室，只是负责一个销售情况。到了2007年，因为01年到07年之间，温科这家公司在中国发展非常的好，到07年，他就自己在中国的苏州建立了工厂。目前这家公司有45名员工，在中国也实施的工程项目大概有35个项目。这是它中国的发展的一个情况。具体来说，它是什么样的一个业务情况呢？因为它是一个具体来说是一个工程，就是说生物质能源的定制方案的一个供应商，主要是提供一些工业或者是一些民用的一些的热能系统的解决方案。第一个就是我们的我这下面因为时间比较久，我会稍微加紧一下。我们主要是以案例形式来说。第一个项目呢，我这里代表性的话就是说迪生，它是一个上市公司，在广州总部。这个项目是在中国的湘潭，中国的湖南湘潭市。这个项目投运时间是在2018年的5月份。它的主要的目的是为整个工业园区供热，它使用的燃料是以周边的生物质废弃物、农作物废弃物为主要比如说稻壳，因为湖南是大米的主产省。然后它会结合一些墨质颗粒作为它的燃料。第二个是北京的首创热力，这个是在我们中国的河北芦台，这是属于唐山的管水。这个项目也是今年刚投运的一个项目，在今年3月份。这个项目它属于热电联厂，它采用的是当地所拥有的一些叫果木的减脂剩余物和那个秸秆作为它的一个燃料，生产的发热电，它的目的也是给工业所在地的工业园区和周边的居民进行供热。
好的，好。
第三个呢，我就是不好意思，那我就很快过去。
对。
第二个就是说，这都是后面大概就2个项目。第一个是阿姆斯特丹在国外的项目，最后一个是我们就是在瑞典的项目。这个烧的时候我们叫做分解垃圾。最后一个就是新加坡的滨海湾，再一个就是在南非，就这是很多这工作业绩，因为它是比较注重于实际应用的一家公司。谢谢。
好，非常感谢刘总。我们可以看到，您的这个业务和尤其是在农业或者是园林农林业这个相关更为密集的这些地区的话，能够有更好的这样的一种按照循环经济的一种方法来就地的处理原本要被扔掉的垃圾或者要燃烧掉的这个垃圾，反倒是产生这个废气，那么来转换成为能源那么这样的话呢，就是中国作为一个农业的大国，我们也知道这个农产品的这个剩余的产品有相当的这个多，所以应该来讲可以在未来我们可以看到有不少的这种发展谢谢那么我们的第4位嘉宾呢是来自于厦门海城新能源科技公司 那么他们这家公司呢，已经是有实现了 A 轮的超过1亿元人民币的这个融资。那么他们主要是做的是新型的锂电池还有就是这个电池系统开发、生产经营等等。那么相关的这个专利呢，也这个达到了280多篇。那么我们接下来有请的是庞文杰庞总来跟我们分享一下因为我们也知道中国的相关尤其是在电动汽车的整个的垂直这个价值链当中，电池是非常重要的一部分这个链条，所以我们有请庞总。我们庞总是有在线吗？好像从那个屏幕上没有看到公司的名称或者是这位老总的这个名字。那我们知道那个下一位是来自于法国的施耐德电器厦门开关设备有限公司的一位老总。那么施耐德是作为法国重要的这个公司之一也是从事于这个输配电领域的相关的器件元器件的这个设计、开发、生产、加工。那么我们也想听一下来自于施耐德电器厦门开关设备有限公司的宋总宋宝春，您跟我们做相关的这个分享。如果等一会儿我们的工作人员能够联系上厦门海晨新能源科技公司的庞总的话呢，我们也欢迎他回到我们的这个来再做分享，谢谢。
好的，谢谢王校长。大家好，我是施耐德电器的宋宝春。施耐德电器呢是一家法国企业。那这一次呢，非常感谢高大伟主席邀请施耐德电器参与此次欧洲与厦门的商务论坛。作为全球能源管理和自动化领域数字化转型的专家，施耐德电器的业务遍及全球100多个国家和地区，为客户提供能源管理和自动化领域的数字化解决方案，以实现高效和可持续。施耐德电器的宗旨是赋能所有人对能源和资源的最大化利用，推动人类进步和可持续的共同发展。我们内部的口号称为 Life is on。施耐德电器推动数字化转型，服务于家居、楼宇、数据中心、基础设施和工业市场。我们通过集成世界领先的工艺和能源管理技术，从终端到云的互联互通产品、控制、电和服务，贯穿业务全生命周期，实现整合的企业级管理。我们的使命是成为您实现高效和可持续发展的数字化伙伴。在中国，施耐德电器从渤海之滨一家不足100人的小型合资工厂起步，到今天，中国已发展成为施耐德电器全球第2大市场。施耐德电器有幸成为中国改革开放的亲历者和参与者，并受益于中国的巨变。作为产业数字化转型引领者，施耐德电器以创新科技助力中国产业在提升效率的同时实现绿色可持续，共同向高质量发展迈进。作为中国的经济特区和东南沿海重要的中心城市，厦门市正着力打造智慧城市，并发挥牵头服务、示范引领和辐射带动作用，积极推动厦张全都市圈建设上升为国家战略。凭借领先的数字化技术和多年来深耕本地的优势，施耐德电器持续助力厦门基础设施建设，并推动重点行业的数字化转型升级与高质量发展。厦门在智慧电网、大型商业楼宇建设、轨道交通与机场建设、电子信息与装备制造等领域已经积累了相当的优势。施耐德电器以创新的数字化技术和上述领域的深厚经验，帮助厦门加速建设智慧城市，推动各产业进一步向数字化转型。作为一家法国企业，施耐德电器非常高兴成为 连接欧洲与中国、欧洲与厦门的友谊纽带中的一条亮丽的丝线。好，谢谢大家。
好，谢谢啊，因为我们知道施耐德在中国的业务分布面还是相当广泛，而且蛮早就进入到中国的这个市场。随着对智慧城市、绿色环保等各方面的这个要求的提升呢，你们的这个技术啊、解决方案也不断的在做这个升级。好的，那么我们下一位的话呢，也感谢您的那个时间控制啊，我们等会儿可以做一些这个互动。下一位的这个嘉宾的话呢是来自于北京泰豪智能工程有限公司那么曾德华副总裁呢也是我们法国里昂商学院EMBA 的学生啊。那么这家公司呢他们是做的是这个智慧城市的解决方案，在全国有25个省市都建立了这个分支机构。包括对智慧城市的顶层的设计投资建设运营方面呢，都取得了不错的这个成绩。那我们还是有请曾先生跟我们做一个分享，谢谢。
感谢王老师，大家好啊，我是北欧里昂EMBA 2019村的学生，我叫曾德华。我现在所在的公司呢是北京泰豪智能科技智能工程有限公司。其实厦门我也去过很多回啊，就是我们泰豪呢是清华的校企。那么之前去厦门的话，也是跟这个海峡研究院、清华大学海峡研究院有过一些比较密切的合作吧，也同时设立了一些基金，然后做相关的一些产业投资。那么我所在的公司呢，主要是数字政府的服务商，服务对象主要是 to G， 那么是城市管理者。产品呢有很多，我们都是做这个解决方案的一些输出，但是我们主打的呢是城市决策的系统。那我们的用户也是希望通过大数据决策来实现对城市的精细化治理。当然，我们总书记在去年3月份去杭州的看城市大脑的时候，也提出智慧城市也好，大数据也好，人工智能也好，在党中央看来实际上是服务于城市精细化治理能力和治理体系现代化。所以日前的话发布的这个两会发布的“十四五”的规划，大篇幅论述数字化，指出数字化转型的这个整体驱动是要在生产方式、生活方式和治理方式的变革。那我们做的实际上就是政府的数字化转型。那我们整合存量和增量数据资源作为指导城市管理者的指标，精力呢从这个数据的无用，因为有很多数据汇聚上来，确实它的指向性和时效性是不足以支撑一个城市的治理的。那么从无用到能用，到有用，到好用的一个这个提炼过程，陪伴数字政府的良性成长。在这个过程呢，我体会也特别深，也想在此机会给做一些分享吧。那么数字化转型呢，实际上是一项非常艰巨的任务。虽然这个数字化政府的发展按照现在国家的要求，其实需求的话是非常的迫切，因为他们正在面临着社会机构的技术的飞速迭代，全社会的这个知识素养和这个数据意识觉醒的这个倒逼。我举个例子啊，实际上去年的疫情的话，大家都能明显感受到社会进步给这个执政者带来的一些压力倒逼，或者治理能力的一些压力倒逼。其一的话，我们网民的素质也在不断的提升，网上不再是键盘侠在发泄情绪或者指责一些能力，而是不计报酬的从各种渠道去找到数据，通过数据有理有据、掷地有声的指出我们在细微的一些治理过程中存在的一些问题，而且可以剖析这里头的实质。第二呢，现在内容平台的话都在社会企业酝酿啊，如我们现在经常用的微信也好、微博也好、抖音也好，实际上这些平台使得内容的传播力极强，瞬间这个阅读量可以达到数千万级。那么其三呢，社会平台与政府平台形成一个鲜明的对比。 从信息技术的角度体现出社会化企业能力更强。无论是微博、微信、抖音、滴滴这些老百姓已经离不开的信息化平台，还是实时疫情动态、辟谣平台、追踪系统以及远程办公，体现的都是这些企业对于信息技术的运用能力、影响能力和执行力远胜于我们现在的政府。以上这些因素呢，都使得政府通过数字化转型，提高服务型政府和执政能力的诉求更为明确、更为迫切了。数字化转型呢，实际上是从错误中去学习的一个过程。转型的关键呢，不在于技术，而在如何解决政府现有部门因为不适应产生的抵触情绪。那么，所以我们的无用到能用的话，这个过程是尤为的艰巨的。所以我们在实际的项目中，一般优先定义一个较为清晰的业务问题，然后以问题为导向去找数据，做出这个成效以后，再进一步推动数字化转型的过程。做法是相对的保守，但是风险相对较低，抵触也相对较少。那么我们如何去找到一个合适的切入点呢？就从我们的项目经验上来说，简简单单用2个因素来判断吧。一个是这个问题解决以后的影响力，一个是解决这个问题的概率。影响力是自上而下的判断，那解决问题的概率就是我们自身为用户解决痛点的能力。实际上我们现在在北京，各位要是来北京的话，就是都要扫一个健康宝。那么健康宝的话，是我们公司为这个也参与其中吧，帮政府在最短的时间打造的。那么后台的数据的话，现在是逾10个 P 吧，这个数据的吞吐量。那么现在也是政务 APP 里头排名最高的。所以我们一直努力提升为用户解决问题的能力，特别是政府客户，包括我们的业务理解、数据分析、软件开发以及一些前沿技术的探索等多个方面嘛，来做这种能力的提升。现在我们还是处在一个比较蹒跚学步的阶段啊，那么我们需要更多的努力来响应整个时代的这种号召，也邀请我们的同学和老师和我们的嘉宾能够处于相同行业的话，我们多多合作，一起创造更大的这个价值。谢谢各位。
好，非常感谢曾总啊，那个您时间控制的非常好。那么我看到我们原定的计划呢，是我们这个 panel 是5点10分结束，现在已经延迟了2分钟。所以呢，我想作为主持人的话，不得不做一个最后的这个总结。然后呢，把剩余的时间交给我们后面的这个嘉宾。我们小结一下，那么本次的这个对话的话呢，主要是从科技和智慧城市的角度来切入。那我们的今天的几位这个嘉宾都是更多的是关注于在绿色节能减排环保，然后呢从技术的角度是提供了氢能、生物质、转化能、电池。这个输配电等等这样的一些领域。当然我们在讲智慧城市的过程当中有绿色的一面，那么另外一面呢，政府作为智慧城市的一个非常重要的stakeholder 一个利益相关者，他们如何通过这个打造数字化的平台，能够更为高效沟通的与我们的这个城市里面的生产者、消费者来更好的沟通服务等等。那么我们已经用几个真实的案例来进行了这个相互的呈现当然我们可以看到有不少的外资的这个企业来自瑞士、比利时、法国等等进入到了中国的市场。那么随着中国的我们讲在中国叫双循环的这个背景下面，以及中国始终在坚持的基于多边的全球化的格局下面，我们也期待未来有更多的中国企业能够走出去，把在自己的相关领域的一些核心的优势，能够随着一带一路和全球化的这个多边的这种贸易关系，也能够有一种良性的这个输出。那么再次感谢我们的5位嘉宾，因为有1位没有到。来跟我们的分享。好，谢谢。那我把这个剩下的时间交还给我们David Gosset 教授，然后请下一位圆桌主持的嘉宾接着跟我们走。
非常感谢王教授。当然，如果那个王先生呢，厦门的王先生，能连接呢，当然我们会给他一个机会发言，但是好像有一些技术性的问题。王先生，非常欢迎，王教授非常感谢。So now I give the floor to our dear friend, Mr. Bernard David, in Brussels, in order to chair the Business Connect to Finance Services and Transportation. Bernard, the floor is yours, and you have great panelists with you.
Thank you, David. And indeed, I have the chance to be surrounded by very interesting people, very high-ranking persons, and it will be my pleasure to introduce them step by step in function of their respective speeches. So our first speaker to deal with the theme of finance, service, transportation, we have as a first speaker Mr. Fabrizio Ferri. Mr. Ferri is the CEO of Fincantieri China, and for those who knows the world of the shipbuilders, Fincantieri is the top, is the number one as an Italian shipbuilding group. It's the largest shipbuilder in Europe. It has doubled in size following acquisitions of some other companies, and now is the fourth largest in the world. It's a company with a long history, 230 years, more than 7,000 vessels built. So we are very pleased and honored to listen to Mr. Ferri and also to get his ideas about the recent evolution he sees in China, in the world, from the perspective of his business. Mr. Ferri, I guess you are with us. I would like to give you the floor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard DeWitt. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me also thank my dear friend David Gossett for the invitation. David is not only super professional, but is also a pillar of the European business community in China. So thank you, David. My name is Fabrizio Ferri. I represent Fincantieri in Asia Pacific and of course in China. I'm based in Shanghai since 2015. Fincantieri, like Mr. David said, is the largest Western shipbuilder in the world. We are the biggest market leader in the construction of cruise ships, basically the big boat for passengers. But we are very active also on the Navy, oil and gas vessel, mega yacht, industrial components, services, and lately also in the infrastructures. Fincantieri has a long history, 230 years history, like Mr. David said, is a company that has globally around 6 billion euros revenue and 20,000 employees divided in 4 continents. For Fincantieri China, it is important, but let me give you some context about the cruise industry, which is the business that we are engaged in this market. In very few years, China became the second largest cruise market in the world with 2.5 million annual passengers. This happened in 2019, right before the pandemic. Let me give you some numbers to compare. US is the first market with around 12 million passengers, but this on a population of 350 million, which is basically almost 3% penetration rate. If we think about Europe, we have around 6 million passengers every year on a global population of 600 million. That means around 1%. Now, China, in very few years, became the second largest market as a country with 2.5 million. And here we have a population of 1.4 billion, like you know. And this gives you the huge potential for the cruise industry in this market. As Fincantieri, we started to analyze this trend back in 2012, and we decided to engage, and we analyzed the market, finding our partner, China State Shipbuilding Corporation, which we started a negotiation. And in 2015, I opened up personally the office of Fincantieri in Shanghai, and I led the negotiation with CSSC, which led to sign a joint venture agreement in 2016 for the construction of the first cruise ship ever in China dedicated to the Chinese market. In 2017, we moved on in signing the contract of the ships for 6 ships, a total value of $5 billion. And this contract was signed in Beijing at the presence of the Italian President, Sergio Mattarella, which was visiting, and the Chinese President, Mr. Xi Jinping. This just to give you the importance of this project, which is basically one of the most important industrial cooperation between Italy and China. Another important element of Fincantieri in China is our commitment to develop the supply chain. Supply chain in our industry is key. Our ships today are sold for price around $800 million to $1 billion US. 70% of this value is made through suppliers. So you understand how it is important to have a very reliable supply chain and top quality, and especially more than ever, supply chain has to be localized because it is important to develop in China for the Chinese market. In this regard, we decided to develop an industrial park in Baoshan in Shanghai, which we signed an agreement in 2017, where Fincantieri has the commitment to bring a European supplier in China, and we facilitate this entering the market, negotiating with the Baoshan municipality a series of policy that could help Italian and European companies to come to China and to support our project. So this cruise industry is not only important for because it's a form of travel. Cruise also in terms of the travel industry is probably one of the best in terms of value for money. We have also analyzed the market, and we know that Chinese people, they really enjoy going cruising for so many reasons. But like I said, to develop the cruise industry in China has also an industrial impact, not only to build ships, but especially to create a strong supply chain. Of course, the pandemic globally has been has hit very badly the cruise industry, but it is a very resilient segment. And we know that in south of China, especially in the Hainan, they are starting to cruise again, only for Chinese passengers, what they call cruise to nowhere. So basically, they leave the dock, the cruise terminal, they go to the international water, and after a couple of days, they come back. We believe this is a very strong sign, and we really hope that a city as a Xiamen, which has an amazing cruise terminal, could follow this soon, and as Shanghai and Tianjin, in a way that we can resume the cruise business in China, because like I said, has a huge potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ferri, and I think you are a living example of the Italian dynamism and adaptation to all situations. I would say we are in now a COVID and post-COVID time, and you are already organizing the post-COVID time with especially foreseeing the development of the cruise industry. And it is important that our European companies would be participate to that. And of course, China is the market for that, with, as you mentioned, a huge potential in that aspect. I also noted, and that is also, I think, very interesting, the commitment of your company to develop the supply chain and to bring more of your EU suppliers to China to be more localized. And I must say that is also a tendency that other companies, especially from Europe, should follow. So thank you very much, Mr. Ferri. I would like now to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Bernardo Cabot. Mr. Cabot is the Senior Vice President of Melia Hotel International Asia Pacific. Melia Hotels International is a group that was founded in 1956 in Palma de Mallorca in Spain. It is one of the world's largest resort hotel chains. It is also the Spain's leading hotel chains. It provides more than 380 hotels in 40 countries on 4 continents under various brands. And we are very keen to listen to you, Mr. Cabot, to learn what is your group doing, but also to listen to your reflection on the current situation and the post-COVID time. So, Mr. Cabot, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Thank you, David. Thank you, Xiamen. I will try to beat my previous colleague from Italy with Spanish passion, so I will do my best in that sense. Apparently, I am the hospitality person, and it's an honor to be here today. Thank you for inviting Melia Hotels International and me. And first of all, we are convinced that Xiamen is the right place to increase our presence in China with one or more than one of our brands blended with our Spanish traditional hospitality. Look, we are trying to explain the hospitality a new concept of leisure. Leisure is the mix of business and leisure. And we understood that the trend of the new traveler is not just to work or just to have leisure, it's just to have both at the same time. So that's what we invented in some way, this concept of leisure. And we think that Xiamen is the perfect place in China for leisure. So again, thank you very much for your invitation and introduction. As you said, Melia Hotels International was founded in 1956 in a small island in the Mediterranean, Palma de Mallorca in Spain. And yes, today we are one of the largest hotel companies in the world and the largest hotel chain in Spain. In both. Originally, we were a resort hotel. Now we have as well urban hotels, so in both. The company currently operates 390 hotels in 40 countries and in 4 continents, and I have the pleasure to have the responsibility for Asia Pacific. We have 7 brands: Melia Hotels and Resorts, Grand Melia Hotels and Resorts, Me by Melia, Paradisus by Melia, Inside by Melia, and Sol by Melia. Which it depends on the market, we go with one or another brand. But basically our hotel brands reflects the company's strategy of growth centered on the premium and upscale brands, which is very in line of the development of hospitality in China. We are the 3rd company in Europe and the 20th worldwide. So I think we can represent in some way hospitality today in this session. Something I would like to share, and which is quite aligned with the strategies of China, is Melia Hotels International commitment to responsible tourism. And we had led the group to become the most sustainable hotel company in the world in 2019, according to SAM, the Sustainable Investment Company, which is very relevant for us from our culture and values and for the development of our business in this part of the world. Another concept I would like to highlight is Melia Hotels International is the only international hotel group that boasts an origin in leisure. I think it's quite important. We believe this is key in our success and something that sets us apart from our competitors. Our corporate tagline reflects this, which is leisure at heart, but business in mind. So this is what we are trying to do here in China, and this is how we are trying to differentiate in a very competitive market here in this country. Just to give you an example, today we have hotels in Xi'an, in Chengdu, in Shanghai, several of them, in Jinan, in Zhengzhou, and we are in the process of opening more hotels in the country, in Chongqing, in Guangxi province, in Inner Mongolia, more hotels, more units in Xi'an. So our strategy of growth with new hotels in the country is extremely relevant for the strategy of the company. And I would like to finish my short list of remarks with why China is strategically so important for Meliá Hotels International. There's plenty of reasons, but I would like to highlight a couple of them. The first one is China is an opportunity for the company to develop hospitality brands with a Spanish flair, which is the distinctive competitive advantage of our company. The second is China is the biggest, as the biggest and hospitality fastest growing market in the world. So we have to be here. But at the same time, we would like to put in value the importance of the outbound market. In 2019, more than 150 million Chinese people traveled abroad. And we, as a hospitality industry, we cannot ignore that. Number three is the emergence of a new middle class in China. And for this middle class, traveling is extremely important. And we have to be prepared in the country and outside of the country. Another remark, which I think is extremely important for us, is China is as a digital reference. In hospitality, digitalization will become critical. And I think China is a reference and we want to learn from this digital experience. Another remark is China as a hospitality reference. Hotels, restaurants, theme parks, cultural experiences, shopping experiences. Look, we as a company, we are actually inspired by China, and even we are near 70 years in the market building and managing hotels. But we come to China to be inspired, and this is something that we want to put in value. And two more remarks, Bernard, if you allow me. China as an amalgam of cultures and traditions. Hospitality is not only about rooms and it's not only about meetings and events facilities, it's about experiences. And we, as a company, we enjoy to amplify the message of the cultures and traditions of China around the world. And finally, I would like to highlight another extremely important point for Meliá Hotels International is China as an example of strategic infrastructure to support tourism and hospitality. The development of airports, ports, highways, high-speed trains is tremendously important for us and for the hospitality industry. So in these 5 minutes, I wanted to highlight my top remarks in terms of hospitality, Meliá Hotels International. And one more time, thank you, David. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Xiamen. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernardo. And when I listen to you, I understand why your group is successful in China. When I see the energy you have, the vision you have also. And I was very interested to listen to you when you introduced the concept of leisure, which means the creativity of the company to find new ways of development, but also your strategy. When you explain why China is so important for you on the strategic point of view with the concept of hospitality with the Spanish flavor, but also the inspiration from the Chinese values in hospitality, the importance of the outbound market and the emergence of the middle class, the digitalization that can be also where China can be a reference. That is also important. And I personally appreciate very much you are not coming to China by telling the China how they should do. You are coming to learn also from China and exchange in a respectful manner with your Chinese counterparts. So Bernardo, congratulations. And I wish you personally great success because the success of a group like yours is a success for Europe, is a success for China also. It's both mutual interest. Thanks a lot. I would like now to introduce Mr. Luc Arnouds. Mr. Arnouds is very well known from our Chamber of Commerce as he's a vice president of us, but today I'm not inviting him as the Vice Chairman of the Belgian Chinese Chamber of Commerce, but as the Vice President and Director of International Relations and Networks of the Port of Antwerp. The Port of Antwerp is a very very important port in the world, and Mr. Arnouds will tell us about that. He's representing the Antwerp Port Authority, which is an independent municipal company. It has more than 1,650 workers, and it's continuing growing. Here in Belgium, the Port of Antwerp has also merged with another very important port, the Port of Zeebrugge. So Mr. Arnouds is now representing a huge port business. Mr. Arnouds, we would like to give you the floor. Luc, it's now your time. Please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. De Witt, Bernard, also Mr. Gosset. Thank you for organizing this wonderful session and inviting the Port of Antwerp to be part of this. It's a pleasure. China is close to our heart as a port, but it's also close to my heart personally. I had the luck to go to China for the first time in 1985. And since then, I've been there more than 60 times. So I adore the country. It's interesting, it's intriguing, challenging, waking us up. But also, I hope we have been able in all these years to bring some of our know-how to China. So I'm always looking at a balanced relationship. And I feel, for instance, with the recent EU-China investment agreement, that we are moving towards a more balanced relationship, which I absolutely am a defender of. Few minutes that you give me, Bernard, I will focus on, of course, what the Port of Antwerp is all about and the relationship with China. For those who are less familiar, the Port of Antwerp is the second largest port in Europe, number 14 in the world, handling over 230 million tons of goods. And what I particularly want to mention is that we are very proud that through a very close collaboration of all the players on the Antwerp port platform, we have gone quite well through the pandemic until now. We are basically the port that was able to achieve the best figures in that difficult year 2020. The port remained operational for 100% all the time, so that's great. And something I like to mention here is the link with China and the support we received from China. In the very beginning, people in Belgium will remember that we had a huge problem in shortage of these mouth masks that protect us against the virus. So we have received from all our good friends in China, all the different ports with whom we have sister port agreements, we have received donations of masks, which we could put available to the workers in the Port of Antwerp. So we are absolutely grateful to the big friendship we felt at that moment, which was tangible by really supporting us to keep the port 100% operational. China is, in total volumes, our number 3 trading partner. And if we count the most important commodity, then we talk about containerized cargo, where China is number 2 and every year growing. So we do feel that the importance, and it was mentioned in the beginning, the economic importance of China to Europe, we evidently feel this in the growing volumes going to and from Europe via our port. As I mentioned, we have sister port agreements with many ports in China. Xiamen, not yet. So it's with this conference, of course, it comes on my list, and I hope in the next visit, physical visit to China, that I will be able to call Xiamen again and see with our good friends from the port group how we can further collaborate and set up more close agreements. An element I wanted to mention that links also Belgium to China is an institute that exists already more than 35 years. It's the training school of the Port of Antwerp. So the Antwerp Flanders Port Training School has been training professionals in Antwerp. So we invite people from all over the world to come to Antwerp to share with us know-how on port management and port operations and everything related to that. We have been happy to educate and to receive more than 5,000 Chinese professionals and train them. And what is important on this is that they all become our ambassadors, our economic ambassadors, because once you have been able to show them our port and exchange thoughts, they stay here for a couple of weeks all the time, then of course you create a lifelong relationship with people that in their career move up further. And so we are happy to see at the top of many institutions in China, ministries, port authorities, we see former students, if I may call them, but I prefer to call them our economic ambassadors. Perhaps the last word, because I know I have little time, it's the merger with the port of Zeebrugge that Bernard already referred to. So in Belgium, we have got next to Antwerp, which is the biggest port, but we also have another important port with good relations with China, is the port of Zeebrugge. For instance, the company Costco, the biggest carrier, Chinese carrier, has invested in, after the port of Antwerp, has also invested in the port of Zeebrugge. And after 1 year of intensive talks, we have come to an agreement to merge both ports by the end of this year. So it's too early to say much about the content because we are still need to pass the antitrust authorities as well. But we have a principal agreement on collaboration, and that will, of course, further strengthen the link with China, as both ports have this strong link with the country. So that's something I wanted to mention. And a very last word, if you allow me, Bernard, about the future. Something that is for us a big road to further walk on is e-commerce. And the proximity of the ports of Liège in Belgium and the port of Brussels with the seaport of Antwerp and Zeebrugge, in our opinion, creates a huge business potential and business case for further collaboration with Chinese big e-commerce giants. And as you know, Alibaba has chosen Liège as their main entrance point to Europe. So we are actually in very intense talks to build up a more comprehensive collaboration, including air and sea freight and rail freight. And that's then the very last thing, because I see I've been talking for 6 minutes, too much. The very last thing I want to mention is the rail connection, which is part of the One Belt, One Road initiative of Xi Jinping. Is very active now. We have now on a weekly basis several trains between China and Belgium, and this will also further be elaborated on, because we as Port of Antwerp, we want to be a complete port. That means we want to be connected by sea, but also by land, rail, and by air. So Port of Antwerp is proud and happy to have these strong links with China, and we look forward to strengthen our relationship with China in general and Xiamen in particular. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you very much, Luc, and thank you for the expose. And I know the leading role you play in Belgium in connecting with China, the leading role the Port of Antwerp is playing. I would like also to mention, just for our listeners and viewers, that behind you, you have the headquarters of the port, designed by the star architect Zaha Hadid. It's a diamond in the city of the diamond, Antwerp, and I want to mention it because when you have a beautiful architecture building, it has to be mentioned. And Luc, I would like to say that you insisted on the many sister port agreements you have with China, not yet with Xiamen. I hope that following this seminar, Xiamen authorities and Antwerp port authorities will meet, and that the baby will come soon. So we hope that. You also mentioned the importance of e-commerce, and I'm very happy to see the role the port is playing in the development of this e-commerce. So thanks a lot, Luc, for your presence and your time with us. I would like now to introduce Mr. Zhao Tieying and Mrs. Tong Lin. Mr. Zhao is the marketing director of Xiamen Airlines, while Mrs. Tong is the international sales manager Xiamen Airlines, well, it's a very important airline company in China. It is the first Chinese airline operating in a modern corporate system. Xiamen Airlines has more than 350 domestic and international routes, and we will listen to our speakers to develop that. I really hope also that new routes will be opened, especially to European cities. And I must say that in Europe, many cities, many airports, I'm sure would be very honored and glad to develop business with Xiamen Airlines. So, Mrs. Tong, please take the floor. I don't know if Mrs. Tong is there. Mr.
各位早上好。
Okay, thank you.
各位早上好，其实也是下午好，很高兴代表厦航来发言，也很高兴借助这个平台认识这么多欧洲各界的人士。感谢主办方在这个特殊时期为厦门各界与欧洲同仁之间建立的这个平台，非常的及时和必要。那么我先简要介绍一下我所服务的厦门航空。厦门航空成立于1984年，总部位于厦门市，是中国首家股份制航空公司。经过36年的发展，厦航已经成为中国民航独具特色的航空公司。我们拥有210架飞机，平均机龄7年，在全球航空公司机队中算是非常年轻的。厦航是天河联盟成员，运营国内国际航线近400条，航线网络覆盖全中国。在疫情前的2019年，厦航国际航线飞往境外33个航点，辐射东南亚和东北亚，连接包括阿姆斯特丹和巴黎在内的欧洲、美洲和大洋洲，并借助天河联盟将航线网络延伸至全球超过1900个航点，每年承运旅客约4000万人次，超过1000万人加入了厦航的常旅客计划。厦航的盈利能力全球领先，至今已实现连续34年盈利，包括去年。在国际航行240多家成员航空公司中，厦航的收入利润率排在全球前10位，并被中国旅客评为最佳航空公司，被 APEX 世界航空旅客体验协会授予5星级国际航空公司。厦航同时追求节能减排和可持续发展。2017年，厦航与联合国在纽约联合国总部签署协议，成为全球首家与联合国开展可持续发展目标合作的航空公司。去年更是被中国中央政府授予抗击新冠肺炎疫情先进集体荣誉。中欧之间的交往、人流和物流是重要的基础，航空公司扮演着关键的角色。自2015年起，厦航开通了福建至阿姆斯特丹和巴黎航线，并已累计承运旅客超过35万人次。通过与法荷航和西班牙、欧罗巴航空等公司的合作，将厦航福建始发的航线延伸至荷兰、法国、英国、德国、意大利、西班牙等欧洲国家。由于去年由于疫情，很多航空公司停飞了中欧的航线，但是厦航坚持中欧不断航，货运航班更持续连接荷兰、法国、英国、德国、西班牙、俄罗斯，为疫情期间的正常人员往来和防疫物资运输做好了保障。在疫情影响下，跨国旅行受到了极大的限制，尤其一些欧洲国家仍在实行边境管制。根据国际航协的预测，国际航空旅行恢复到疫情的水平要等到2025年。我们对中欧市场航空市场做了具体的细化，预计未来几年可大致分为3个发展阶段：限制期、恢复期和扩展期。厦航根据3个阶段的政策环境和市场特点，逐步恢复并进一步扩大中欧航线网络。首先是限制期，也就是2021到2022年，由于疫苗还未完全普及，各国仍在严格的控制国际航班数量，并延续入境隔离政策。这期间，厦航将重点做好中欧航线的客货疫情防控，确保航线持续稳定经营，保持厦门与欧洲空中航线的通达性。第2个阶段是恢复期，2022年到2024年。在这个阶段，预计主要国家的疫苗基本普及，国际旅行限制也将大部分取消。厦航将重塑中欧航线网络，首批将恢复原有的阿姆和巴黎航线。那么第3个阶段是扩展期，预计国际市场2024年到2025年，预计国际市场恢复至疫情前水平。 同时，厦门的新的翔安国际机场也将投入使用，厦航将加快完善厦门枢纽的国际网络，加密中欧航线，形成规模化经营。与客运市场不同，厦航的货运业务也将顺应市场发展的趋势，在未来5年中实现厦门与欧洲之间航空物流运输的快速发展，以配合厦门政府的产业布局需要，并以厦门为货运枢纽，满足欧洲与中国间对物流增长的运输需求。厦航的使命是帮助更多的人行走天下，我们非常乐意和荣幸在中欧间的人员交往和物流运输方面，能为欧洲的企业、组织和个人提供一个更好的服务选择。再次感谢今天这个交流平台，也欢迎越来越多的欧洲的朋友来乘坐我们厦航的航班。谢谢。
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tong, and congratulations for the respect of the time limit. I would say that it is also very interesting to see that your company is going to resilience. Of course, you are in a sector that has been badly hit by the COVID, especially for the international flights. But it's interesting to see that you plan to develop further freight transportation connecting Xiamen with EU cities, that you are also, your company is doing a lot of efforts for a low carbon footprint. I must say congratulations to your company for that, and I really hope that we will see more flights from Xiamen Airlines going to Europe in the near future, and I also really hope that the vaccines will be efficient and that we can go back to normal concerning travel activities. So thank you very much, Mrs. Tong. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhao, for your presence today. And now I would like to introduce our last speaker, Mrs. Bai Shui-Qing, who's the Deputy General Manager of Xiamen Port Holding Group. The Xiamen Port Holding Group, we know that Xiamen is a leading port enterprise in Fujian province. Your company is a state-owned enterprise directly led by the municipal government. And I will let you explain what is your group doing. And as I mentioned, I hope maybe that Mr. Arnouds and you can soon come to some deal in the links between the Xiamen port and the port of Antwerp. So, Madam, please take the floor.
Okay.好的，主席先生，各位嘉宾，下午好。我是来自厦门港务控股集团公司的白喜清，很高兴有机会在这里和大家面对面的沟通。下面呢，我就简要介绍一下厦门港和我们公司的情况。厦门港呢，坐落于厦门，坐落于福建海峡西岸的经济圈，南城北接珠三角和长三角2大中国的经济圈，直通东南亚和西南大太平洋。厦门港集装箱吞吐量位居全球集装箱吞吐量排名第14位，在中国大陆沿海港口排名第7位。厦门港是我国沿海主要港口，4大邮轮运输4.4万港之一，已发展成为国家综合运输体系的重要枢纽。集装箱干线港、邮轮始发港、海峡两岸交流重要口岸，是厦门国际航运中心和港口型国家物流枢纽的主要载体。厦门港包括厦门市和漳州市的9大港区，自然海岸线总长约899公里，规划港口岸线约106公里，包括集装箱、邮轮、石油、煤炭等各种专用码头和多用途码头。全港生产性泊位175个，其中万吨及以上泊位80个，10万吨以上泊位19个，20万吨集装箱泊位5个。现有航道总长720公里，其中沿海航道长340公里，内河航道长380公里。万吨级以上深水航道总长 约154公里，公航保证率达到100%。那下面是我们公司的一个基本情况。厦门港务控股集团公司呢，是海峡西岸最大、最具实力的港口及综合物流运营商，是厦门国际航运中心和城市产业经济的重要力量。集团呢，拥有生产线国域82个，岸线总长17.1公里，可停泊20万吨集装箱船舶和20万吨散杂货船舶。集团下面设有集装箱、散杂货、现代物流港口建设、供应链运营及投资、港口金融、港口信息7大板块。现有成员企业148家，拥有国际港务发展2家及内外上市公司。我们一家是在香港上市，另外一家呢是在深圳主板上市。集团经营的业务涵盖港口货运物流、船舶代理、航运、托人、理货、供应链、信息、技术、工程、输进、房地产开发、金融投资、资产管理等诸多领域，员工接近1万人。去年2020年，厦门港务集团公司完成货物总吞吐量1.5亿吨，完成散杂货吞吐量2815万吨。集装箱吞吐量963.1万标箱，这个数据呢也是占整个厦门港的75%以上。近几年，厦门到欧洲的进出口贸易呈快速的增长，特别是在2019年达到了最高峰，增幅呢接近了9%。双边贸易的增长也带动了港口航运业务的增长，每年厦门到欧洲港口的集装箱吞吐量达到140万标箱。目前厦门港7条欧洲线中呢，有2条分别挂靠安特卫普港和泽布里霍港。中国经济和市场空间巨大，中国港口与物流业有着相应的发展机遇。最后finally, I would like to say we are looking forward to establish business contact with cooperation with more European companies and institutions in the near future. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bai. Thank you for also your last words in English for our English-speaking audience. I must say that I'm impressed to learn that you are the 14th container port in the world in ranking. I also interested to note that you are an important cruise port, bulk cargo port, that you are also at the center of cross-strait exchanges, that you have also mentioned the growth in trade with EU from Xiamen port, which is also of interest to our EU European listeners. So I really hope that in the near future there can be further development, that your port can have further links with European ports, and that business will further develop. I wish you a great success in your enterprise. I am now coming to the end of our session because time is running and we still have a very important session after that. Before giving the floor to David, I would like to thank again our speakers of this morning, Mr. Fabrizio Ferri, Mr. Bernardo Cabot, Mr. Luc Arnaud, Mr. Zhao Tieying, and Mrs. Tong Lin, Mrs. Bai here present. I thank you all very much for your presence today. I thank you for your speeches, which are really inspiring for our listeners. Thanks again. And now, David, I give you the floor. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Bernard, for your wonderful chairmanship and also to all your panelists. It was really stimulating, and I do hope that Luc and Madame Pai, they make an agreement very soon. That would be wonderful. This is, after all, this is a business connect. So now clearly you are connected. That's very good. And Bernard and Federica, if you allow me, because now Mr. Wang Pengzhong is back with us, so maybe Mr. Wang, you could have the floor, but for 3 minutes, maximum 5 minutes, and then we will begin, thanks to Federica, the last part on culture and lifestyle. But please, Mr. Wang, present yourself and your company. You are from Xiamen, so this is very important for us to listen to what you have to say. Thank you.
好的，我这样说话可以听到吗？好，尊敬的高大伟教授，各位嘉宾跟中国跟欧洲的伙伴们，我是海城的王鹏程。刚才不好意思，系统有一些冲突，很荣幸受到高大伟教授的邀请，参加这一次的商务活动。也很高兴有这个机会跟各个伙伴来探讨一下新能源的发展跟智慧城市的一个未来。首先呢，也允许我简单的介绍一下海城的新能源。海城是一家专注于储能锂电池电芯以及储能系统开发、生产跟销售的高科技企业，一直呢也在为全球能源的供给提供安全、高效、清洁跟可持续的绿色能源解决方案。另外呢，海城已经完成 A 轮超过5个亿的融资，海城也将率先在业界量产指标领先的单体能量密度超过196瓦时每公斤，以及循环寿命超过8000次的储能电芯，还有率先量产系统的充放电效率超过 87.6% 的工商业的储能系统。在过去的这几年，电化学这个储能得到了很丰硕的创新的成果，成本降低了 50% 以上，而安全的应用也有重大的突破，各种新的应用、新的发展也层出不穷。随着去年习总书记在2020年的12月份在气候峰会上做出了承诺，就是3060，各省、自治区跟直辖市也出台了相应的节能减排的政策，也制定了“十四五”期间碳排放的一个规划，并且大力推动了可再生能源的装机量。同时，为了解决可再生能源以光伏跟风电为首的消纳问题，电化学储能得到了重大的发展。在中国国内新能源发展的这个时机，我们同时也注意到，欧洲作为全球可再生能源渗透率以及汽车的电动化率最高的区域之一，拥有很成熟的市场体系以及很丰富的实践经验。那么，如何在未来来解决高比例的可再生能源的接入电网的冲击问题，以及解决大量的充电设备并网的问题，是需要中欧双方来进行深入的研究跟探讨。我们也有理由相信，未来无论是分布式的互用储能的市场，还是集中式的储能电站，都将在里面发挥重大的作用。如果将欧洲成熟的新能源市场以及中国完整的工业制造的能力一结合，我们相信一定会有不一样的火花。海城也坚定地认为，智慧城市应该具备以下几个特点：第一，城市管理智能化，城市的综合治理资源包括抢选救援、公安消防、环保治理以及应急电源等公共资源，通过数据平台进行云管理和云调配，最大限度地实现快速响应和高效的利用。第二，交通出行高度智能化，通过新一代的通信技术，将乘用车、运营车、公交车等公交出行工具实现终端的联网，帮助车辆群在高度电动化的同时，快速定位 寻找充、减、放智能的接口，实现车网互联。第三，信息互联的智能化，城市信息平台成为信息处理和分发的枢纽，个人、企业等信息个体都可以通过便携式的终端利用城市平台上传以及获取信息。第四，生产制造的高度智能化，工业中的生产资料泛无人化、联网化，生产过程全周期进度监控，精益的控制生产成本，实现生产力的大幅解放。第五，能源网络的智能化，通过集中式、分布式的储能以及移动储能能源的结合，实现城市级的源网合储一体化，将能源能精准的输送投放，提升能源调度的灵活性。储能作为一个稀缺的可以与能源网络双向互动的资源，赋予了电能跨越时间跟空间纬度的能力，成功的将城市的管理、交通出行、信息的互联、生产制造和能源网络有效的结合在一起，能够激发智慧城市发展的全新的一个生命力，给予我们的经济增长完全不一样的驱动力。所以我们相信，随着欧洲以及中国电动化程度的加深，储能将在智能城市的发展中扮演更加重要的角色。海城新能源也高度的欢迎欧洲的伙伴参与到我们智慧城市的建设，海城也将走出国门，为全世界提供安全、高效、清洁、可持续的电动化的解决方案。另外，海城有一个理念叫仰望星空，脚踏实地，有梦想，但我们一步一步做出来。另外，海城还有一句格言叫躬身入局，挺膺负责，方有城市之可寄。希望所有的伙伴一起参与到新能源这个大的事业当中。谢谢大家。
非常感谢汪邦正先生的锦载讲话。Now it's a great honor to go to Italy to listen to Federica Macchioni, and I know that she will moderate in an absolutely beautiful way the last panel, which is, I have to say, very, very impressive. So thank you very much, Federica, for your support. And we are looking forward to listening to each of the panelists. Thank you, Federica. Grazie mille.
Buongiorno. Hello, everyone. First of all, I need to be short because the time is running and we all want to be efficient. I have to say that the distinguished guests that spoke so far were very interesting. I like the way everyone took this commitment and in a very, very professional way. So I'm keep learning from everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me, David. And I would like also to congratulate and to thank the other moderators, and in particular, Mr. Bernard Duet, Chairman of the Belgian Chinese Chamber of Commerce. So quickly introducing the culture and lifestyle, reflecting on those, what I can say is that the culture is the foundation of everything we do. And lifestyle, let's say, is the backbone of human daily activities. So therefore, all these big businesses and important things cannot really exist and be conceived without an understanding and exchange of culture and lifestyle. And with that, let me introduce all the distinguished guests that will be with us today, starting with Mr. Sylvian Amick, Director of the Ruin Museum Group, which was founded in '81, have been able to enlarge their collection and carry out a number of important projects, including restoration work, exhibit and catalog publication. It also runs highly various programs, conference, lecture, and most importantly, enables large numbers of people to develop their artistic sensibilities. So, Mr. Sylvain Amic, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Federica. I would like to thank the organizers of this conference, which gives us a great hope while the world, and especially Europe and France and Italy, has yet to overcome the epidemic. It is particularly important to look to the future, because this episode shattered cooperation actions, but fortunately did not cut ties between Europe and China, between France on both sides. And I think it's our responsibility to think now on solutions which will help to reset this cooperation and to relaunch its development. So thank you again, Mr. David Gosset and Mrs. Federica Marcioni, for your fundamental work, and thank you for inviting me. You know, I'm Sylvain Amic. I'm running the Museum of the Metropole of Rouen, Normandy. And I believe that we need to increase our development, our cultural ties between Europe and China. They are so old that they seem legendary. They have been characterized since the Renaissance by reciprocal fascination. Cultural exchanges have been very numerous, whether in the arts, gastronomy, literature, techniques. Today, communication technology have now made it possible to better understand the reality of culture and lifestyles on both sides. But these images that we share are also marked by stereotypes that sometimes are not helping a good mutual understanding. Therefore, I think that cultural exchanges developed by professionals, historians, true connoisseurs of the cultural history of both sides are important. They make it possible to better understand each other and to increase cooperation. In China, as in Europe, when the populations reach a certain level of material comfort, development, they show a great interest in personal development and turn to cultural offers. So it's up to us to offer them high-level proposals. Europe and China are ancient civilizations and have always been concerned by safeguarding the most beautiful testimony of their culture. We keep very large quantity of cultural goods on both sides, carefully housed in museums. Organizing exchanges is now technically possible today, thanks to new transport facilities and new conservation methods. However, it takes a lot of effort on both sides to fit international conservation standards. We are only at the beginning of these exchanges and need to increase the capacity on both sides to work at this level. China has built an impressive number of museums and cultural institutions in recent years. Many young professionals have been trained in conservation and exhibitions affairs. In Europe, museums have also developed. They now take better account of the need for international exchanges, and they reorganize themselves to be able to circulate their collections. You see major institutions like the Louvre, the Centre Pompidou, the Orsay Museum, to speak only for France, have shown the way. Many projects have been organized in China, temporary exhibitions, and sometimes permanent settlements. These achievements have met with spectacular success. However, China is such a large country that these cultural leaders will never be able to meet the expectation of all the population in China. In all major cities of China, cultural institutions are waiting for cooperation with Europe. Therefore, as director of the Museum, the Métropole Grand Normandie, I believe that the future lies in the relationship between the future ties in the relationship between the cities of Europe and China are much between regional cities as between capitals. Rouen is only 1 hour from Paris by train or by car. Located at the very end of the Seine River, Rouen is a port connected to the ocean and open to the world. In many ways, this situation is very like the one of Xiamen in China. Rouen has played a considerable role in France's history and retains an immense heritage. Let's just mention 3 historical figures. Joan of Arc, this famous woman who, during the medieval ages, has fought and led the war to free the French territory from British domination. And Claude Monet, the French impressionist artist who painted in 40 different ways the Cathedral of Rouen. And we celebrate this year the 200th anniversary of the birth of Gustave Flaubert, the writer who invented modern French literature with his famous novel, Madame Bovary. All these personalities, like many others in different fields, are connected to Rouen. The 11 museums we run here are covering all domains of cultural and scientific heritage: antiquities, fine arts, painting, sculpture, drawing, decorative art, ceramic, ironwork, textile, fabric, jewelry, literature, natural science, history, anthropologic items, and I have to say a small Asian art collection. It's about 1 million of objects. So you understand the opportunities that it represents in terms of cultural exchanges. In 2019, we did organize in Shanghai at the Mingcheng Museum of Art an exhibition devoted to French abstraction school with such great artists like Zhao Wuqi, the famous Chinese painter who spent a long part of his life in Paris, and Pierre Soulages, who is still alive and who is very famous in China and had a very large exhibition in Beijing. It was a tremendous experience for us, and we learned a lot about the way to develop French and China cooperation. So we will be ready in the next year, after the epidemic, to develop new projects in China. And we are very interested in cooperation with Xiamen. So please just start now to think about projects. I don't know, maybe something about French landscapes in painting or sculpture or ironwork or ceramic that's so famous in China. And we will, I think, establish new links and new ties between our 2 countries. Thank you very much. I give you the floor.
Is the word I hope everyone was hearing that you used a lot. And let me go to the next distinguished guest, who is Mr. Alex Fan, co-founder of East Lancun International Culture, collector, curator, and writer. It is important to say about this organization that is dedicated to collection, preservation, research, and exchange, again, between Eastern and Western treasure of arts. And after 11 years, the company set up its own collection system and is now own many works of art, including the gold leaf of the crown of Napoleon, which, as you all know, this year is very important. And another important and striking information is that for East Lancun International Culture, art is a friend of time. It accompanies humanity throughout its long history, and East Lancun's vision is to accompany the Chinese people with the art on their journey towards the rebirth civilization. So, Mr. Alex Fan, the floor is yours.
大家好。首先谢谢高大伟先生的邀请，谢谢 Machani 女士的介绍。谢谢 Mick 先生的精彩的发言。我觉得中国跟世界之间，我觉得不同的民族之间，需要把艺术 变成我们交往的一种方式。我觉得只有我们之间的合作，不断的对话，相互的欣赏，才能够带人类走进下一个新的纪元。那今天我所发言的主题就是关于艺术在这个越发无序的世界中所承担的作用。我的故事开始于我的一个亲身经历。在去年，我和我的团队做了一个展览，名字叫《觉醒：文艺复兴到20世纪的宫廷珍宝展》。我们向观众展示了一批非常精彩的、迷人的历史珍宝，这是我们的团队经历了10年沉淀，花了半年的时间所精心策展的一个成果，而且受到了观众非常热烈的好评。但是疫情打断了所有的计划。我记得鼠年春节，我们所有的团队成员是在深圳过的年，我们面对的是空无一人的展厅，面对的是空空荡荡的大街，以及所有的未知。时至今日，很多国家的博物馆和艺术机构仍然还在关闭的状态中。我想这大概是自2战以来，艺术馆与公众被迫隔绝最久的一次。幸运的是，随着中央政府的强有力的应对措施，疫情在中国得到了缓解。在我们重新复展之后，深圳政府帮我们做了2次的延期，我们做了一个非常漫长的展览，一直到7月19号，历经了整整211天。在这个漫长的展览中，我们不断的去见证艺术和一座城市之间的融合。那以深圳为例，这是一座被认为是文化荒漠的年轻的城市，但是我们发现它其实拥有最多的开放的心灵。有大量的观众不断的重复购票来到我们的展览，最多的参展记录达到了9刷。我们在新浪微博上所创造的话题一共有高达3亿次的访问记录。我们看到了几万条热烈的讨论，抒发了观者自己与艺术的感受。那为了与观众有更多的连接，我们在 B 展的闭幕式那天做了一场直播，展示展品被撤走的样子，给大家近距离的看每一件艺术品被详细的检查和审视的流程。这也是我人生中第一次做主播。那3个小时的直播时候，我们获得了高达573万的观看流量。在当年，当我们沉迷于艺术之美的时候，当我们在世界各国去追寻那些历史上最出色的大师作品的时候，我从来没有想过有一天，这些极致之美可以给这个藩篱重重的世界打开一扇门。而当我们面对那么多的素未谋面的观众时，我真切地感受到了艺术在今天特别的力量。在今年年初，国际货币组织发布了最新的世界经济展望的报告，世界经济遭遇了2战以来最为严重的衰退。那一系列的问题，包括低出生率的问题等等，可能会在未来的10-20年才真正的浮出水面。但是所有这些问题是可以预测的，经济的衰退也可以预测，而无法预测的、最糟糕的是疫情所带来的隔绝状态。人们已经习惯了生活在一种半永久甚至永久的危机状态中，习惯了人与人之间的距离，习惯了国与国之间的隔绝。我觉得这才是深入人心的难以愈合的伤痕。人类现有的空间哲学和隔离文化有可能因为这次疫情而重新洗牌，所有我们曾经熟悉的关系都会变得陌生，这是我们今天必须要去面对的问题。而面对这个困境，我想艺术或许可以提供一个解决之道。歌德曾经说过，他说，当你想要隐逸，再也没有什么比艺术更为妥善的避世的地方。而如果你想要同这个世界产生联系，也没有比艺术更为可靠的途径。在今天这个算法的时代， AI 的时代，艺术以及包括艺术在内的人文领域所能够拥有的力量，也许是绝大多数人所忽视的。我们不讲如何去对抗算法，去对抗 AI， 去对抗数字独裁，我们说的是如何去补足算法所无法抵达的疆域。艺术是什么？艺术是人们感知这个世界而留下的痕迹，艺术是一缕阳光，它是技术和算法永远无法企及、无法言说的那个世界。它负责填充人和世界交流中的种种缝隙，那些孤立无援的时刻，那些绝望的时刻，那些欣喜的时刻。 这就是保罗·高更所说的：“我们从哪里来？从哪里来？我们是谁？我们到哪里去？”那今年夏天，我们会在北京举行我们的第2次展览。那同时，我们在深圳的艺术馆也在今年秋天落地。我们会不断的去探讨这些话语，不断的让不同的人发出他的声音。我们也会邀请人们尝试在这里通过艺术交朋友，去拥有不同寻常的精神生活。因为我们相信，艺术不仅仅可以疗愈人心，也可以传递信念和爱。艺术可以建立人与人之间的连接，建立人和过去的连接，建立国与国之间的连接。这里面最美妙的地方在于，艺术在一片祥和之中会发出批评的尖利之音，但是在困境重重中，艺术却尝试赞美这残缺的世界。这就是我的发言，谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex Fan. I truly enjoy your presentation and really like the fact that you say that art can heal people. We really need that. So thank you for your work and for everything you're doing. Let me introduce you now to the next distinguished guest, Mr. Arthur de Villepin, CEO of Art de Vivre Group and co-founder of the Villepin. And let me tell you a little bit of the Art de Vivre Group, which will be introduced by Mr. Arthur Villepin, who founded, and they have offices in Paris, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. The commercial branch covers sector in wine and spirits, gastronomy, art, lifestyle, and design. And the investment branch actively seek companies with substantial potential and sustainable competitiveness in order to deliver high returns for clients over the long terms. Mr. Arthur de Villepin, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Frederica, and thank you, of course, to David Gosset, who invited me in this forum. I'm very happy to be part of this new forum and initiative to promote the relationships between China, France, and of course the culture and the development of art in Xiamen. I believe that the cooperation between our two countries and the development of art and culture is key in today's world, especially at a time where more and more we are tempted to go with fear. Maybe we are tempted to go to more nationalism. I think we need more cooperation and we need more culture, because culture is the basis of understanding, of opening ourselves to difference and to enrich ourselves to a new world and a new way of looking at the world. So thank you for organizing this forum. I'm very happy to be part of this initiative, because I have all my life developed this bridge between France and China, trying to promote these two regions. I have been in Hong Kong and developing myself over the region for the last 10 years now, with several different entities. The first one was around the wine. So I created this wine company called Pont des Arts, who brings the art world and the wine world and the winemakers. And we've been very happy to develop this brand and different distribution all over Asia and the world, but specifically in China with a team in Shanghai. And we've been very happy to organize actually dinners in Xiamen, where we had an amazing success and a great appeal from this type of project. The second project that I have developed is called Yellow Corner, that I'm promoting here in Greater China. It's a brand that was created in France. It's a brand of art and photography that was created in France, and developing the different galleries within this region. Same success that I've met here in the region, and I'm very happy to share that we have now about 10 galleries in the region, and we will develop more and more these operations. We've just signed last year, in a moment of torment for the whole world, different cities in China, like Hangzhou, like Suzhou, Chengdu and also Shenzhen. And we are very happy to think about the idea of course, developing more art and culture in Xiamen through this photography initiative. Finally, I have developed a fine art project with my family, and especially with my father, who is very involved in this project. The whole idea is to promote artists and to create an art and culture community within the region. We want to promote not just amazing artists, but also a new type of collectors that is coming from this part of the world. We believe that art and the approach towards art will be very much shaped by the new arising collectors coming from this region. And we want to accompany this movement that we think will have an amazing impact on the art world altogether. So the few exhibitions, just to give you a couple of examples that we have done so far, we have created an exhibition on Zhao Ji, the famous French-Chinese artist, called Friendship and Reconciliation. And we are now having an exhibition on the second school of Paris called The Art of Hope, with artists such as Pierre Soulages, that was named before by Sylvain Amic, also Hans Hartung, and Georges Mathieu, Nicolas de Stael, and many others, all in this idea to believe in art as a way to look and make bridges with different cultures and to inspire themselves out of life and humanistic values more than the threat of difference. So it is very exciting for us to be here because, of course, we have projects for the future, new upcoming museums exhibition that we are planning now in Shanghai, and also a Zhaoqi exhibition that we will plan very soon in Shenzhen for next year. And more than that, a new initiative which is involving the new technology and the new digital era that we are all getting in, a digital museum that we will promote in China with the creation of a first standing alone project in Shanghai to promote art and culture together. Of course, the famous artists, the famous Western artists that we all know, Van Gogh, Da Vinci, but also, of course, Chinese artists that will integrate the Chinese art and culture. So thank you so much for organizing this forum, and I hope we will have the opportunity very soon to meet together to discuss more and to develop our cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vilpen, and I really like again that you use the art of hope as expression and exhibition, and the art to make bridges between different cultures and countries. We're now going towards another important company and a distinguished guest, Mr. Philip Geerhard, Director Channel Asia of Neuhaus. Neuhaus was founded in 1857. Of course, they made chocolate and continue to make chocolate with both traditional and creative production methods, and has become the oldest and most notable chocolate in the world. They still produce near Brussels, but they export worldwide. They have 1,500 selling points in 50 countries. Mr. Philip Geerhard, the floor is yours.
Let me put on the microphone. Yes, thank you, Frederica. Thanks so much for the great introduction. Thanks, David Gosset and Bernard de Witt, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. And I must say that I enjoyed a lot of the presentations that I have seen this morning. So myself, I'm Director Channel Asia. I have been in China for the first time in 1993. And in the meantime, I developed a passion for China and its fine culture. I don't know, I had a presentation prepared. I don't know if that will be shown or not, but I will continue talking. So Neuhaus is the original Belgian chocolate. What does that mean? Neuhaus is, first of all, it's the inventor. Jean Neuhaus was originally a pharmacist, and at the time, medicine had a bad taste, and he started to dip medicine in chocolate to give it a better taste and serve his customers better. And his grandson, who always played in his atelier, said, "Why do you put the bad medicine inside the nice chocolate? Fill it with nice things." And that's how the Belgian chocolate culture started. How it's the culture of the filled chocolate, the praline, or the Belgian chocolate, as it is called today. At the time, it was put in a paper cone, and his wife thought it was a shame to have all those nice chocolates in a paper cone. So she developed a nice box to make them elegant for gifting and to protect the chocolates. Second thing is we are Belgian. We are very much part of Belgian culture. I think most Belgians need chocolate every day. We still produce everything in Belgium. We supply our royal family, and we have a lot of cooperations with Belgian icons, going from the Smurfs that many people know, up to Tintin artists, the tailor of the King and Queen, etc. And thirdly, so we are fully focused on taste. What does that mean? It's first of all, we work with all natural ingredients. We don't use any controversial ingredients like palm oil or genetically modified organisms. Secondly, we have our own chocolate plantation to have a full traceability and to be sure about the labor conditions of how it is produced. So that is Neuhaus. On top of that, we added a lot of ritualization, which means pairing of chocolate with wine, with coffee, with famous Chinese tea, and so on. So in our food coming to China, there is a very different culture in chocolate in China, because people, it's not part of Chinese culture actually. They eat about 200 grams, where in Belgium they eat 10 kilos, so there's about 70 times more. So there is a job to be done. But Chinese are very eager to discover and try new things. We found that out in the first time during the World Expo, where it was the best-selling pavilion, the Belgian pavilion, together with beer, chocolate, and diamonds. And so ever since, we have been in China with retail boutiques, and it was not an easy exercise. Of course, in digitalization with famous platforms like Tmall, and lastly, in high-end gourmet locations. Up to this day, it has been a great adventure, but it has been a challenge, because culture is a great way to unite, but culture is also a difficult thing to change. So you don't change it overnight, and you don't know when the tipping point will happen. So, I mean, it will still be there is a long way ahead to further develop and let the Chinese people enjoy the type of chocolate culture. In doing that, we also had a lot of great Chinese cooperations, like, for example, with Louis Ye, who was the #1 pastry chef in the world. I see that my time is up. I can only finish by saying one thing. I hope that everybody has the chance to taste Neuhaus or to receive one day. Thank you so much for the invitation, and I very much hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips. Great. Since you're focused on taste, we will definitely all taste again your amazing chocolate. Let me go now to the next distinguished guest, Mrs. Chi Yang. Deputy Director of Tree Shadow Photography Art Center, Deputy Director of Operation of the Jean May per Arts International Photo Festival. The tree shadow photography aspires to be a significant window into the exploration, presentation, international dialogue surrounding Chinese contemporary arts. It is situated in Beijing, Chaochangdi Art District, and it was the first independent organization specialized in contemporary art photography upon its founding. Mrs. Qin Yang, the floor is yours. Hello.
好，谢谢，非常感谢高大伟先生的邀请，也非常感谢马尔基奥尼女士的介绍。那么各位在文化艺术领域的有识之士，他们的慷慨分享让我非常的触动。那么我也先代表三影堂的联合创办人蓉蓉和应里来问候大家。那蓉蓉、应里他们其实是一对因为摄影而成就自己，也因为摄影而结缘的艺术家夫妇。那他们自己的作品其实已经在全世界很多个顶级的美术馆，像 Tate Modern、像 MoMA 这样展出和收藏了。那么三影堂呢，其实就是他们回报给摄影的这么一个方式。在2007年，中国还没有专门的摄影美术馆的时候，也是在中国的藏家和大众还不接受摄影作为艺术品的时候，他们创办了三影堂。那么真的是一个专门针对于当代摄影的民营的美术馆。那么除了举办展览、摄影比赛、摄影节，那我们也涉足了出版和画廊的产业。那在创办之初，其实我们就和欧洲有非常频繁和密切的交流往来，举办了很多欧洲大师的展览在中国，那也成为国际视野去发现中国摄影这么一个重要的平台。那么蓉蓉是她的厦门就是蓉蓉的故乡，所以说一个艺术能为一个城市带来什么，那么她为厦门呢量身定制了一个摄影节，也就是在每年11月在厦门举办的集美阿尔勒的国际摄影节。我正好手里拿着这样的一本画册，是去年的一个图录。那么大家知道阿尔勒除了因为梵高的绘画而知名以外，他其实也拥有全世界最悠久也最前卫品质最好的摄影节，就是阿尔勒国际摄影节雷汉宫大了。那么我们将这样的一个国际化的文化 IP 引进到厦门，展出他们当年的精选的展览。那同时我们也举办我们中国本土亚洲国家的展览，那么也甚至联动到了欧洲的其他国家。那么这也确实让我们在短短的6年之内成长成为中国最让人瞩目的一个国际化的摄影节。那么可能时间比较有限，我就简单分享几个数字给大家。那么每一届摄影节我们会有6000多平方米的展览面积，那么6年来有180多场展览，我们一共吸引了35万多名的线下的观众到场，也有60多万的线上观众观看我们的直播。那同时我们一共合作了300多个艺术家，包括大家可能已经比较熟悉，有日本的全川石花Ninakawa， 也有他是今年东京奥运会的艺术总监。那么也有法国的非常优秀的艺术家雷蒙德·考谢提尔，他是法国的 Nouvelle Vague 新浪潮的非常有代表性的一个人物。还有奥德利·塔图，他除了是演员以外，那么他也创作了非常棒的摄影作品。那么美国的也有罗伯特·弗兰克等等。那么在去年的集美阿尔勒，我们一共有70多家的海内外媒体的合作，一共产生了3000多条的新闻媒体报道。那么当然文化的交流一定不是单向的，必须是相互的。所以我们每年集美阿尔勒产生2个大奖，集美阿尔勒发现奖和优秀女性摄影师奖。那除了高额的奖金以外，大奖得主他会被邀请到 参加下一年的法国的阿尔勒。那么这对艺术家来说是进入国际视野的一个绝佳的机会。那么我们也希望能够让全世界通过摄影更加关注到厦门，也关注到中国有很好的摄影艺术家。当然了，这样的艺术盛会除了有艺术家还有观众的参与，我们也必须得到几位区委区政府的支持。同时我们跟很多的合作伙伴有非常深度的合作，比方说有好康在家 Home King 马爹利 Madame Figaro 汇丰银行，我们有很好的奖项的支持和品牌展览的一个合作。那么也和葡萄酒品牌和时尚服装品牌联名制作艺术家联名产品，还有和一些像特防波特曼，我们有一些艺术家的驻地创作，定制品牌的 VIP 之旅。那么除了传统的品牌露出，那么这种多维度的合作方式，让我们双方都有了非常好的就是跨界的合作。那么我想起去年在11月的时候，我们扛着巨大的疫情的压力举办吉米阿勒的时候，艺术总监顾铮先生就告诉我们说，这不是冒险，而是人类的不屈意志通过摄影的表达。那么我也相信不论怎么样，就像在座的各位，我们都对文化和艺术怀抱着信心。那么最后我想再次感谢主办方的邀请，也感谢主持人和各位的聆听。我也诚挚的邀请大家，无论是北京还是厦门，期待我们在线下的相会。谢谢。
Thank you very much, Mrs. Xiyan. I hope I'm pronouncing well your name. And you're doing a great job in already combining culture between the Japanese and the Chinese and all the French and all the names that you mentioned. I like the fact that your founders say that art is self-expression and we need to take more risks. Thank you again very much for your introduction. And let me now go to the following guest, Mrs. Wang Yang. Who is the Chinese Tea Master, Deputy General Manager of Emperor Tea. Emperor Tea was established in 2001, and it has become an integrated company that makes 5 categories of Chinese tea with main focus on Fujian tea. It has completed industrial chain that includes tea planting, processing, R&D, production and sales, and is now well-known brand in the Chinese tea industry with a good reputation among consumers. Mrs. Wang Yang, the floor is yours.
尊敬的高先生，尊敬的各位嘉宾，大家下午好。我是中国茶师王念，我本人与茶结缘多年，曾经参加过许多国家重大的茶叙活动，比如中英茶叙、中国和英国茶叙、英国朝鲜茶叙，还有金砖项目会晤的茶叙。我成为36个国家元首视察、讲茶、传播中国茶文化。那我今天分享的主题是茶文化与生活方式。中国是茶的故乡，是茶文化的发源地。据记载，起源于上古神农时代，至今已有5000多年的历史。茶文化作为一种内涵深厚的文化，外具优美艺术表现形式与礼仪的文化特征，贯穿于饮茶活动的始终，数古传今，普及于国内，传播于海外，为现代人类提供着一种独特而美妙的生活方式和精神空间。茶是人类美好的物质享受与精神陶冶。随着社会的进步，茶文化已渗透到社会的各个领域和生活的各方面。喝茶本身就是一种生活方式。茶作为一种物质，它形体是千姿百态的。茶作为一种文化，有着深邃的内涵。在中国古代，有宋代诗人苏东坡将茶比作从来佳名是佳人。后来说茶是寒夜客来茶当酒。名人陆元庆谓人不可一日无茶。近代鲁迅说品茶是一种轻浮。伟大的德国科学家爱因斯坦组织的奥林匹亚科学院每晚例会 用边饮茶休息边学习议论的方式研讨学问，被人称为茶杯精神。法国大文豪巴尔扎克赞美茶精细如拉塔基亚烟丝，色黄如威尼斯金子，未尝品尝即以幽香示意。日本高僧永熙禅师称茶上通主天境界，下至人伦。英国女作家韩素英说，茶是独一无二的真正文明饮料，是礼貌和精神纯洁的化身。中国有句谚语，衣食足而礼精。随着物质生活的丰富，人们日益精神生活的提高，必然促进文化的高涨。当前中国乃至世界范围内出现的茶文化热潮，便是很好的开始。随着茶文化的传播普及，茶道、茶礼、茶艺已经通过不同的方式渗透到寻常百姓家。在当今的中国人们生活中，许多家庭都会在家里设置一个精美的茶室，特别是南方的一些城市，饮茶氛围更浓。家里备有各种茶具、名茶，还有茶点，俨然是一个小小的茶馆。普通百姓家虽然没有很专用的这个茶室，也会结合自身的条件，配有茶具和茶叶。例如以中国最受年轻人欢迎的厦门为例，闽南饮茶氛围极为浓厚。厦门是茶文化的集中港，在厦门的大街小巷，随处可见的茶店，还有就是年轻人聚集的茶饮店，比米店还多。几乎家家户户都备有多套茶具。泡茶化仙是厦门人传统的方式之一。厦门以喝茶为品茶艺术，是中华传统文人茶、功夫茶的品茶方式的延续与保留。它与潮州功夫茶叶品饮方式相同，极力保存着对中国茶文化传统的守望。厦门饮茶普及走向大众化、走向商业化茶楼、茶馆的多样形式。以厦门为代表的闽南地区，秉持爱拼才会赢的进取精神，借休闲宁静与抒发性灵的饮茶艺术，蕴集着以茶娱情、以茶养心的人生态度，保存着中国传统文化里的儒释道共融的精神，并不断的传承与发扬。既在茶室品饮中以平常心求超脱，试图去体悟儒为本、道为用、佛清凉的互相交融的状态。茶这具有民族化典型的品饮媒介，在厦门逐渐进入现代社会的进程中，曾经扮演了一个更接近中国文化理想和美学梦呓的角色。茶是自然而然地融入到中国生活日常品饮之中，从生活中的柴米油盐酱醋茶，到精神文化上的琴棋书画诗酒茶，茶都是时刻出现的，几乎融入到每一个人的日常中。日本茶人千利休曾经说过，把水烧开，投茶进去，泡茶出汤即为茶道。其实茶就是生活，从一叶茶到一个杯，然后一张桌，再到一个城市、一个国家，茶就是一种融入人们的生活方式。愿我们日日喝好茶，日日好心情。谢谢。
Thank you very much. We all drink tea, and actually I did while you were speaking, and I truly like the quote that you used, that tea can connect the events with the above. And we will drink even more tea after your wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Let me now introduce the last guest of this session, Culture and Lifestyle, Mrs. Xiamen-Europe, founder and CEO of V-Photos. V-Photos was founded in 2015. It's the smart service platform of photography and videography, with more than 40,000 contracted photographers and cameramen worldwide. V-Photos has serviced over 100,000 corporate clients in 176 Chinese cities and 16 countries overseas, and it is recommended photos and video service provided from the third CIIE. So Mrs. Xiamen-Europe, the floor is yours.
OK， 谢谢主持人，也非常感谢 高先生的邀请啊，我是WePhoto 的创始人，大家都叫我大米啊，也可以叫我 Michelle， 海外的朋友可以叫我 Michelle。非常荣幸参加这次的文化交流活动。那么其实我之前也在欧洲工作很多年，在德国，所以那个时候呢非常就是感触非常深，两个国家东西方文化的这个碰撞，其实不同的民族呢都有创造了不同光辉灿烂的这个文化啊，但是自古以来这个语言不通啊，就造成或者这个文字相异，就会造成人们之间沟通的一些障碍。但是作为视觉艺术的影像呢，却以直观的这种形象成为了一种跨世界的语言，可以这么讲。不同的城市、不同国家的人民，其实通过这个影像可以非常顺畅的了解彼此不同的生活方式，即使是语言不通。那么一幅幅生动的这种影像画面，其实不仅可以开拓人们的这个眼界，也可以在这个不同国家人民之间架起了一座这个了解和沟通的这样一个桥梁。我觉得，所以说，我们认为这个影像其实是第三种语言啊，两个国家之外的第三种的语言。那么 WePhoto 能为此做什么呢？就像刚才主持人介绍的 ，WePhoto 是一家影像服务平台啊。其实我们是一家互联网科技公司。那么我们平台上有4万多个全球的摄影师、摄像师，还有修图师、剪辑师。那么这些人的相互的协作是通过我们这个科技创造的这个行业的生产协作系统来实现全球的跨国家的协作的。举个例子，比如说在2年前这个我们中国这个华为的任正非先生的小女儿在巴黎参加巴黎名媛舞会，那么我们就能通过这个法国的摄像师和中国的剪辑师他们来进行跨国协作。那么我们会让他跳舞的这段视频能得到这个1小时内就完成之后，1小时之内进行全球首发。这个就是科技赋予的力量那么我们现在成立5年期间呢，已经完成了7轮融资，已经服务了中国176个城市和16个海外国家的重要的活动。其实简单点讲呢，我们就是为全世界的重大的活动和重要的时刻来提供专业的影像服务。那不仅是记录这个历史的瞬间同时呢，我们也通过这个跨国的影像生产协作系统，可以让这些影像作品第一时间被全世界的人民所看见。那么今年2021年呢 ，WePhoto 又推出了这个数字城市影像的解决方案。什么叫数字城市影像解决方案呢？就是我们要用智能影像赋能数字城市我们要为城市打造它的数字记忆，通过 WePhoto 来拍摄城市的重要的活动。观众可以5分钟之内扫码下载，看到专业的这个照片，并且呢，能实现他们的自行的转发，这样呢就形成了裂变式的传播效应。同时呢，我们以影像为切入口，通过观众看照片的注意力的分析，我们可以进一步挖掘照片背后的数据。举个例子，我们是去年进博会，大家应该都知道，第3届中国进口博览会，我们是官方唯一指定的影像服务机构。那么我们通过我们以照片为入口，进行照片的数据分析，我们能分析出来这么多的这个观众，他注意力最集中的最想看的是那个88克拉的黑钻，还是特斯拉的新车等等的。那么包括如果我们为城市比如说比利时或者是厦门来打造这个城市影像解决方案的话，那我们来看一下，大家最感兴趣的是厦门的鼓浪屿还是比利时的这个布鲁塞尔的广场其实一张照片背后有很多数据，有很多话可以说。所以呢与此同时，我们还为每个城市建立了自己的城市的影像库，里面呢有 AI 智能标签和搜索的功能，大家可以通过标签以及人脸识别，可以几秒钟找到你想要的照片，即使这张照片是10年以上。WePhoto 的目标就是成为一个世界级的影像平台我们就是致力于用科技来改变行业。我们已经用科技提升了影像行业这个效率300倍以上，那么我们还能用智能影像赋能数字城市。希望我们通过影像数字化这种方式来为中欧文化和经济交流来进行助力。谢谢大家的时间，我就不耽误太多时间了，谢谢。
Thank you very much, Mrs. Xiamen. You help us to stay on time. Michelle, as you want to be called. Yeah. And one thing that really struck me was what you say, photos can empower smart cities. And we will all have in the future smart cities. So you're doing an amazing job. So let me just say thank you once again to all the distinguished guests that participated in this culture and lifestyle. I wish you all a tremendous success in all you're doing. And I'm sure that, as I said at the beginning, the exchange between the culture and lifestyle will actually help other businesses like the other we were hearing from before of the session will thrive and let us all succeed. Thank you very much. And David, thanks again for inviting me, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Federica. We have been already for 3 hours online, so it's really the time for me to give the floor to Bernard David for his conclusions. But again, I would like to thank you, Bernard, and your organization. You are the organizer of this Business Connect, and I think it was not only useful, but very inspiring. Again, thanks to EM Lyon, it's always very good to have an academic partner. They have a way to look at things which does enrich the conversation and the process. And of course, thanks to our friends in Xiamen, I understand that the Torch people, of course, they are listening to us. Please thank again Director Chuang, the authorities of Xiamen, Madame Sui, and since I can see you, Madame Yu, I would like to thank you for all the wonderful job you have been doing. It's a lot of work to organize such a conversation, so thank you very much. I thanked the speakers already. I thanked the moderators. They have been wonderful, Professor Wang, Bernard, and of course, Federica. I would like to thank also those at Digi2CI who contributed to the success of this event. I am especially thinking here about Miss Lin Ke-ya. My dear friends, my dear colleagues, without the interpreters, we would not have had such a qualitative exchange. So I would like to thank Cheng Han and Miss Rena Lee for the wonderful job they have been doing. Bernard, before I give you the floor, I would like to tell you that we are going also to take an initiative which is a bit original, but listening to Sylvain, listening to Arthur, listening to Mr. Fan, I think definitely we have to do it. We are going to launch a China, Europe, North America museums dialogue. And I think museums are something very inspiring, and China is going to bring a lot of new things in the way we think about museums. And Mr. Fan, really, your speech has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having prepared it so carefully. And of course, Sylvain, yours and Arthur's and all the speakers also were so stimulating and inspiring. Look, as I said, it was my first sentence. I think we live in a world in which I hear a lot about decoupling, disconnecting. You see the way we call our event, Business Connect. And I think it is always useful to connect, to exchange. This is so important. I don't want to be conclusive because the dialogue has to go on. As conclusions, I always love to say that these are non-conclusive remarks, and I will give Bernard the mission to make a real conclusion, but in my mind, it has to be a flow, a flow of ideas, a conversation through which we grow together. You know, listening to each of you, I was thinking again and again about the concept of emergence. It's always fantastic when people meet, and very dangerous when people do not meet. Because when we meet, when we encounter, we co-create value. Something is emerging, difficult to capture, but I have been myself looking at this emergence of visible cooperation that I can visualize, and not so visible things. So from that perspective, it was very successful. Again, the importance to meet, because the in alone, well, cannot do much. The young alone cannot do much, but when the in and the young, they interact, well, my dear colleagues, you know better than me, we have simply life and the beauties of life. Having said that, and before I give the floor to Bernard, talking about encounters, talking about emergence, I will have, after this Business Connect, a tea and a chocolate to meditate upon our friendship. Thank you very much. Bernard, you have the floor, and once again, thank you very much, Bernard.
Thank you very much, David. And first of all, I would like to say that we have to thank you for being the mastermind behind the day of today. Without you, it would not have been possible. You combine, I would say, the academic and the energy of and I will not say that an academician is not energetic, but you have the energy of the business people. You have the energy of bringing people together. And I think we have to be grateful to you for that. I would say that you have already thanked the participants, the speakers, and I join you in thanking all of them. Thanking also the interpreter, thanking the organizers, thanking EM Lyon, thanking the G2C company, thanking all of them, thanking also especially the moderators, and in particular Federica Marchioni, who did that so perfectly, as well as Professor Wang, who did that also very, very well. Thank you to the speakers for what they brought. Thank you for being on time. It's also very important. I would just add to what David said, because David did it splendidly in the conclusion. We need to fight protectionism. We need to find narrow mind. We need bridges, and here we brought our little stone to the bridge. We need to try to understand each other better, and art and culture are there for that, and the people who spoke today made it brilliantly. We need to know each other better, not only from one continent to another, but from speciality. We had engineers, we had urban planners, we had transport people, the port, the logistics, the airline, we had smart city technology, and we had the people of culture, and everyone dialoguing. That is really something I find marvelous, and I really hope we can continue. I have noted your new initiative, David, and we will strongly support it, of linking museums from Europe, China, and North America. And the fact that we had some eminent representative and the director of the Rouen Museum, curator like Mr. Fan, Mr. De Villepin, Mrs. Marchione, all these people will play, I'm sure, a key role in that. And I want to to push also the business circles to support that initiative. So I don't have tea with me. I don't have chocolate. I will have to interrupt to run to get my tea, and preferably my Chinese tea, eventually pu'er, and some chocolate from Neuhaus. I thank you all. I thank you again, David, and I hope we can organize something in Xiamen, in the beautiful city of Xiamen, very soon, in presence, by using Xiamen Airlines to bring us over there. Thank you very much.